Hello!
Hi! We're here!
We're here. I was like, shit, am I supposed to say it now? We're here.
We're here!
It's Sidewalk Slam.
Yeah! We made it!
The hashtag new era of Sidewalk Slam.
And Adam Savadan is kicking off the new era by forgetting his notes. So here we go.
It's okay, we're unscripted, we're note-free on this bold new iteration of Sidewalk Slam.
We're going to see what happens.
What do we mean by bold new iteration? Well, because last episode, we recorded at the end of August.
Yes.
And it took me a month to get it out the door.
Yeah.
Because we talked about 3 episodes of Raw.
Yeah.
And to a lesser extent, 3 episodes of SmackDown.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. For editing?
Yeah.
I didn't even enter into my fucking head.
It was just...
No wonder! Oh my god.
There was so much.
Yeah. 6 episodes. That's like cutting off commercials. Each episode of Raw is like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then each episode of SmackDown is like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. There was just a lot of clips to track down. And... but, okay, so good thing is that we've got it so that if I go for like about a 5-second video clip,
We can sneak in there.
YouTube doesn't care.
We get under the rug.
So we can do that. So I still use stills occasionally, but I can do little video clips, so that's sweet.
Yeah.
Downside is like, we just can't do it.
Yeah, man. I don't think it's even for...
this t-shirt, right? The wrestling will continue until morale improves. Available now at store.loadingreadyron.com.
Yes.
There's so much.
There's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much. And it was like, we were actually not behind at all, really, before the brand split. And then rumors of the brand split came out, and morale was at an all-time low.
We said in that episode, we're just like,
oh, man.
what are we going to do? And so the idea was that we would do... we would talk primarily about Raw because that's their flagship thing.
Yeah.
And then Adam would come in with some additional information about SmackDown. And as it's developed, it turns out that SmackDown maybe is the more entertaining show at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment. SmackDown, I think there's things I liked about Raw.
Isn't that how it was like way back?
In like, what did they call the class of, not the class, but the
Ruthless Aggression era?
What do they call the SmackDown 6, which was like Edge, Benoit, Guerrero, Angle, Rey Mysterio, and I'm forgetting somebody.
Undertaker?
Maybe Undertaker, but it was like, that was when Paul Heyman was at the helm for SmackDown from like 2002 to 2006, I think.
Right.
And it was, this was when I wasn't watching wrestling, but apparently it blew everything out of the water.
Yeah, it's also,
amazing.
for us, now that we're like, jamming all this wrestling content, it's so much more digestible.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour show.
Oh, God. It's like
there's so many less like recaps and stuff going on. It's just like, nice.
And it feels like less filler because they have less time.
Yeah.
So, whereas Raw has to throw in like all these squash matches now, it just
which we still are generally in favor of.
Yes, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
But it just feels like at points I'm watching and I'm like, oh, it's a squash match, and I'm like I tune out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. It just, that extra hour of actual viewing feels a lot longer.
Yeah.
And it's even more apparent now that SmackDown is kind of just doing its own thing.
Which is great. The fact that they really are playing up this actual rivalry.
Yeah.
And they're actually talking about they are talking about the ratings.
Yeah.
Like Mick Foley is there being like, wow, man, SmackDown really pounded us last week.
Yeah.
Like you're sort of watching it and going, wow, I can't believe they admit that.
You know what I do find weird though is that they advertise each other's pay-per-views still.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, make sure you watch this Sunday, Clash of Champions. It's like, what? Yeah. But that's my only nitpick. Like, all right, sure, man.
So the situation that we're in now is that because of the brand split with Raw and SmackDown now having their own shows with their own pay-per-views, you have the quote, the big four, although I guess we haven't actually heard confirmation about Survivor Series, but the idea being
I'm assuming,
that WrestleMania, SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble, and the Survivor Series are co-branded pay-per-views with Raw and SmackDown superstars. And then each show has 7 other pay-per-views throughout the year. And so now there's a pay-per-view every 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's
and
nuts.
we can't be doing
even
a pay-per-view and Raw and SmackDown and give everything the weight that it deserves.
Yeah, because I felt really bad the last 2 episodes because the first episode that we covered, the SmackDown since the brand split, I was really caught off guard. And I've explained this in YouTube comments and stuff, but it's just like...
Nobody reads those.
Nobody reads those, yeah. So I got caught off guard, and it was
Certainly
like, Graham is usually the moderator, right? And I just kind of listen and throwing my 2 cents here and there.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, what happened on SmackDown? And I was like, stuff and things. And and it didn't help that we recorded it, or we did it like Raw, all of Raw.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now we got to go through all SmackDown. And it's like, internally, I am defeated.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Yeah.
and someone suggested, like, why don't you do Raw, then SmackDown, Raw, then SmackDown, like, alternate it. But I think that what we're going to do now will probably end up being better. I think that we should aim for once a month. With the amount of content there is. Like,
So,
if we
yeah, because
do,
what we're looking at doing now is focusing more on the specials.
Yeah.
And the stories that lead up to the matches.
Yeah.
And if there's specific entertaining things in the episodes of Raw and SmackDown in the interim, then we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, we're looking at the storylines that are relevant to these these specials. So today we're going to, as briefly as you can, with whatever it was, 6 hours of wrestling,
including pre-show.
Yeah, we're going to talk about SummerSlam.
Fuck, that was a grind, wasn't it?
It was a big, that was a big show.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk more entertainingly about the two more recent specials, which was SmackDown's Backlash and Raw's Clash of Champions, which I believe was originally going to be the Night of Champions pay-per-view, but then they changed it to Clash of Champions.
Because like Night of Champions was, years ago.
The gimmick for Night of Champions was that every title gets defended.
But this was like when they used to have like 1 billion titles, right?
Yeah.
This is like, again, during the I guess the Cena Prime era was Night of Champions, I guess.
It was funny too because it was Vengeance, and it was in like March or whatever, but it was like Vengeance, and then the next year it was Vengeance : Night of Champions,
and then
the next year it was just Night of Champions.
So Clash of Champions, actually, you just refreshed my memory, because Clash of Champions used to be a WCW pay-per-view.
Yeah, way back.
And they would do it, a lot of them for free on TBS, which was sweet for me as a child growing up, because I didn't get pay-per-views because my parents thought wrestling was dumb. So it's just like I didn't have parents that would buy me pay-per-views. So watching Clash of Champions was like this little thing. It was like, oh, I get to watch a pay-per-view on WCW. It was so sweet. Yeah. So I have fond memories of Clash of Champions on TBS. Yeah.
So let's talk, like I said, as briefly as one can do with 6 hours of wrestling, about Cricket Wireless and KFC present, live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, SummerSlam. This was a stacked card. Yeah. The card so stacked that Sami Zayn was on the pre-show. So let's quickly whip through the pre-show. There was a 12-man tag match in which American Alpha, the Hype Bros, and the Usos, who, to note, at this time are still a face team, spoilers, defeat Breezango, the Ascension, and the Vaudevillains. Yeah. Cool. Whatever.
Cool. Yeah, it was just, I'm trying to, you're going to have to forgive me, because remember the match being fun. Yeah, and that's all you can expect from a 12-man match.
Yeah. That's all you can hope for. Sami Zayn and Neville defeat the Dudley Boys in a tag match. There was no build up for this
whatsoever.
And Sheamus defeats Cesaro in a singles match. This is the first match. It started at SummerSlam. This is the first match of the Cesaro-Sheamus Best of 7 series that Cesaro is already 2-0 in, because we talked about this last time, that Cesaro had beat Sheamus 2 weeks running on Raw, and then Mick Foley was like, all right, we're going to do a Best of 7 series. At which point Sheamus should be like, I'm already up 2. But no. Slate wiped clean. Sheamus defeats Cesaro. Cesaro
that match was really good. I remember I was like, man, shame that was on the pre-show.
All these Cesaro-Sheamus matches have been really good matches. But I'm struggling to care.
Really? I kind of bought in. They got me to buy in at Clash.
At Clash of Champions.
Yeah, because the match was amazing.
The build-up, I'm like, because we've seen it so much.
Because I think they were just too vague on what was on the line, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're asking someone to buy into this story, and they're like,
because you talked about this last time, I found some footage of it, the Booker T, Chris Benoit Best of 7.
That
was for the TV title. This is for shutting them up for a couple months.
I think they went back and were like, oh, it's for a future championship opportunity.
Okay.
So they kind of like, I don't know if they retconned it. I can't remember if they
definitely retconned it.
So they retconned it, and they said, oh yeah, you got a future championship opportunity. But anyway, this match was really good. At the time when I watched it, I was like, it was good, but
Yeah.
do I want to watch 6 more of these? Because it's going 7.
Yeah.
I don't think a best of 7 in wrestling terms has ever gone like a 4-0 shutout.
Yeah, that would be real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like I said, I didn't care yet.
Okay.
But we'll come back to it at Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
So the show begins. We were wondering how they were going to do the announced teams, and they had both teams there.
Yeah.
And they basically jumped back and forth between the SmackDown and the Raw announced teams. This is how they did it back during the other brand split. They would have the teams announce the stuff for their own show. And so we had the Raw announced team with the opening match, which was Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, new best friends.
Yes.
Who
has been a shining diamond.
Oh, they've been so good. Versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass, who of course come out to a huge Brooklyn pop.
Yeah.
And they they do their stuff.
They do their thing. It's the same thing every time, but that's what we want, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because it's like we watching it. I've seen it a million times, right? But never experiencing it, right? So they have to keep doing it because every new crowd is like people who haven't experienced it before. So.
Yeah. Oh, and special celebrity guest at SummerSlam, the return of Jon Stewart, who was at SummerSlam last year and interfered with the Cena match because, as he explained on Raw the next night, he didn't want to allow John Cena to break Ric Flair's streak.
Yeah, that was it. Sure,
why not?
At least they gave it a reason,
I
right?
liked it. I honestly liked that, and I have no problem with seeing him back. He just loves wrestling, and he's there, and whatever. They get like some random sort of celebrity buoyancy from it. So sure, why not?
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, opening match: Jericho and Owens defeat Enzo Amore and Big Cass, which is totally fine, actually.
Yeah, because totally fine.
Enzo and Cass don't need this. As they don't quote need the win, and it just it works. It works better for
boils my blood.
I know it works better for Owens and Jericho. I think to take this.
I'm so glad we're so easily on the same page about a lot.
Well, because you've got. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Owens is practically in the main event picture at this point.
Yeah.
Jericho is a however many time champion.
Yeah.
On the fake paper of the wrestling storyline, it doesn't really make sense for Enzo and Cass to beat Jericho and Owens unless Jericho and Owens are not working cohesively as a team, which happens sometimes. But they are definitely on the same page.
Yeah, they are 100% on the same page.
Second match on the card is the match for the WWE Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Charlotte challenging Sasha Banks, the defending champion, and Dana Brooke is banned from ringside.
Yeah.
So this is a straight up one-on-one match with Sasha and Charlotte.
Sasha almost kills herself 3 times in this match. Straight up just ends her own career. There was
something in the corner?
Something in the corner I'm trying to remember. God, she landed really awkwardly. And then there was that the big reverse Hurricane Rana, which is just always dangerous. The big thing that I've saw with a lot of people with this match was you 2 women don't need to kill yourselves to think that just because you're at SummerSlam and you're on this big stage, which I understand why they do it, right? They do these big dangerous spots. But you don't need
and
Sasha,
for the record, we are forever asking Big E to stop doing his suicide dive.
Yeah, forever. It's not just because it's not. Don't get this the women need to stop because they're delicate creatures or something. No, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
It's like that with anyone. Fast forward, Clash of Champions, Cesaro almost kills himself.
He said he's not doing those anymore.
Oh, thank Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw a thing on Twitter that was Ralph Wiggum diving through the window, and it's Cesaro be okay. In general.
I think he retweeted that.
Did he? Okay. I am solidly under the camp of wrestlers don't need to do this random psychotic bullshit, the dangerous stuff, to put on a good match, you know? But it was a really good match. I was terrified the whole time because I just thought someone was going to get hurt. I felt because going into this match, they knew that Sasha was going to be taking time off.
Yeah.
Because she's banged. I heard the reports I read just said she was banged up.
Right.
And that was it. And she wasn't going to need surgery. She just needed time off. And it kind of rewinds us back to her winning the title at Raw. And it's what's the point? You know what I mean? But I think they make Sasha win the title on Raw just because they need to show that title changes can happen at any time. That's mainly why they do it, right? It's it's our first show. after the brand split?
Yeah, it was
the first Raw after
the first Raw. Yeah.
The first Raw after the brand split, and they're just like, just put the title on Sasha. And I think even then they knew, like, man, she's gonna have to take some time off, right?
Yeah.
So Charlotte wins this match by countering the bank statement into like a roll up. And it was awesome because the crowd was noticeably deflated.
Yeah.
And I love wrestling for stuff like that. Just when they, you're just so sure that someone's going to win. And then the opposite happens and it's just like, boo.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, but for like, if they do it well, storyline wise, like if they do it through a narrative that's good. And I felt like these two women put on like a great match, barring aside the Daredevil stunts. And it was a lot of fun. Charlotte's still the best heel on Raw, I think. As far as, if you look at it just from the sole purpose of getting heat, like Owens and Jericho might be better heels, but they're just kind of still universally loved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking at it from a strict like black and white heel babyface standpoint, Charlotte's the best.
Yeah.
Like, she gets the biggest reaction, maybe outside of Roman Reigns. But,
That's not really intentional. Yeah. Well, I would argue that The Miz is pretty high up there in terms of...
I meant just on Raw.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, Raw. On Raw, Charlotte's probably the best. The overall Miz, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even close. Yeah. I hate to use like hyperbole, but it's really not even close.
Yeah.
Miz is in another stratosphere.
Backstage, this is after the match.
Yeah.
This is not... on pay-per-views, there's very little sort of interstitial stuff, but there is this little scene backstage with Gallows and Anderson walking up to AJ, because of course they're on different brands now, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey man, what's up? Too sweet, whatever.
Sweet,
Hey, the club forever, cool." And then they do a little, what I'm going to do tonight is beat up John Cena.
Yeah.
And then Finn Balor walks up, and they're like, "Hey, huh? Too sweet, huh?" And he just looks at them and just shakes his head and
walks
leaves.
away. It's awesome, yeah.
Because again, we said this a couple episodes ago. Finn Balor started the Bullet Club.
Yes. Started the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and AJ came in when Finn Balor, who at the time was named either Prince Devitt or Fergal Devitt.
Right.
One or the other. I can't remember which one it was.
Fergal.
I think Fergal's is a real name.
Wow.
Fergal.
That is a name you either like you live or die by that name.
Yeah.
You
Isn't
own
that like a solidly Irish name?
Yeah.
Though? Like,
you own that name or you die by it. Like you gotta. What's up in Fergal? And you're just like, hey, oh, you're serious? I'm sorry. I will sit back down.
Yeah. Yeah. So AJ was never in the Bullet Club, the same time as Finn Balor was, but yeah, they still have an association. They worked overseas with each other.
Yeah. So just that little moment of like, nah, that was like, because they've never acknowledged that in the WWE. It's just a cool little.
This is why, like, we've said it a million times that we're just blown away that they're willing to acknowledge these other.
Yeah.
Even though they don't specifically say it. Like they're not saying, "Hey, we were in New Japan together," you know, but they're still on the screen at the same time.
The next match is either going to be exactly what everyone thinks or a completely unearned upset.
Yeah.
It's The Miz defending the Intercontinental title against Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
The Miz wins.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was a short match. It was like 5.5 minutes.
Yeah,
it was not a long match. No.
Apollo Crews, what do you do with him? We're not even like, this is getting into fantasy booking, I guess, but we've complained, like we've said time and time again, like I don't know anything about Apollo Crews.
No.
And I hate bringing it up every time, but it's like, if you want me to care about a match that Apollo Crews is in,
I should care about Apollo
I need
Crews.
more than just big smiley guy who can do flips. You know?
John Cena versus AJ Styles.
I actually rewatched this before we recorded. I rewatched it today.
Match of the night, right?
Yeah, hands down. Like, I felt bad because this show was so long, and the way that they booked it was very like almost set up for failure, kind of, because this match maybe should have been first, or it should have been a little bit later, because the crowd was like physically depleted after this match. Match was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if you got tickets to SummerSlam, you're going to go, like we said this about WrestleMania, you're going to go early. And so you've already sat through however many hours and hours of wrestling. And then you've got this match that is just so hype and exciting. And then afterwards you're like, oh, I need to sit down for what's that?
Yeah.
What is it? A tag team match. All right, tag team title match.
Right,
okay.
Yeah, get back up, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Roman Reigns? All right.
All right.
Sure.
Like, I went into this 100% expecting, spoiler alert, AJ Styles to lose. Like, I just didn't think it. There was no way. I was like, John, and all the John Cena complaints aside, like, he does win most of his feuds. Like, he comes out on top. And that's fine. He's the biggest name in the business. Like, sells the most merchandise. And that's, that's just a fact of life. And the match that these two put on, it's kind of the same match, like, style or storytelling-wise that AJ and Roman put on. Whereas AJ is like, I am the better wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, I am just better than you. You can't keep up with me. And that's always how they that's how that match with Roman started off.
Yeah, and AJ's thing also is like, I take it very personally that you say that all these new people have to go through you.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Especially me, because I'm so much better than you.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we covered it on the last episode too, but like there were some great promos by AJ saying like, oh, I'm going to turn your passion into your prison when I beat you, and talking about like, when I beat you at SummerSlam, you got to come out here and you either have to say AJ Styles is the best and you're a loser, or AJ Styles is not the best and you're a liar.
Which was not technically a stipulation, because that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Because AJ wins this match.
Yes.
And Cena after the match looks shaken,
dumbfounded. Actually, the best moment, my favorite moment of the match was right before the ending, and Cena hits like that top rope attitude adjustment.
Yeah.
And then AJ kicks out.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting in the corner like what do I got to do? Like, just the way he looked was awesome. Loved it. I actually listened to, that brings up a good point, another side. I listened to, Kevin Owens was on Chris Jericho's podcast. And I actually said a sentence that really resonated with me, is that wrestling is just moments, rather than looking at it as a whole. Like, if you can deliver a match that is just one good moment, that's all he's really kind of looking for. Whether it's like, what it brought up for me was like thinking about Zayn versus Nakamura from NXT. But that moment when Sammy is falling down and he grabs the rope and just kind of hangs on for a second and then falls over. Like, that just, for some reason, that resonated with me. And I was like, that's awesome. But yeah, now I'm just like, yeah, that's a good point.
But it's also important to not that I think that Owens was, I'm not accusing Owens of being short-sighted, but it is important not to be short-sighted with something like that, saying like, oh, it's only about moments, because in so many cases, a moment will only resonate or be iconic if you built it for that. Right? And so
I think that's kind of what he had assumed. Like, you're just saying, like, if you build and build, like, you're just...
I'm sure that he knows that, and I'm sure that he's assuming that the listener understands that, but I'm sure a lot of listeners don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's like, taking the storyline and crafting it and molding into this thing where you can finally be like...
Like that, the from the Zayn Owens match where Zayn puts Owens back in the corner, right? That's like, in a vacuum, it's like, oh, he wants to be extra mean to this guy.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything without the build-up.
Yeah.
But with that build-up, that moment was so good.
Yeah. So and it's just great. I was like, he pretty much nailed on the head, like, why I love wrestling.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the reason. It's like, just give me the build-up.
So AJ Styles beats John Cena clean.
Yes.
In this match.
Apparently, you know what, now that and then people brought up too, is like, oh, well, I mean, Cena actually loses at SummerSlam like all the time. And he does. Like, he has like he's in 4 SummerSlams in a row, he's put over somebody. Like, I think it was like Bryan, and then last year was last year Brock? No, last year was Alberto Del Rio.
Really?
Yeah, he lost the U.S. title. And then the year before that was when he lost to Brock.
Wait, wasn't it him? No, it was him. Last SummerSlam was him and Rollins for the. Oh,
was it? Okay,
that was the Jon Stewart.
Yeah, never mind.
He lost the U.S. title to Del Rio on Raw with his return, and then anyway.
Sorry.
Is this the new streak? Who can
Cena losing, or
who
can lose to John Cena?
Who can job to Cena at SummerSlam?
That'd be awesome.
James Ellsworth. Cena sits in the ring dumbfounded and takes off his
armband,
his never give up armband, and leaves it in the ring. And I thought he'd be then taking time off. There was like a rumor he was going to then like leave to like do a movie or something. Then this was like
but
he never seemed to have left TV.
Oh, yeah.
He's been around.
Well, he wasn't at Backlash.
He wasn't at Backlash, but that's about it.
But I think that's like a light schedule for John Cena. Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
The guy's a monster. Like
Since then, AJ Styles has he's been wearing that armband.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he's like, oh, look at this cool thing I found. And so he's been wearing John Cena's armband around, being like, look what I did. I beat John Cena.
Yeah.
It was great. So then we get the bit with Jon Stewart.
Yep.
And he comes
Jon Stewart
out.
in the New Day, right?
Yeah, well, it starts with Jon Stewart. He comes out and he's talking about the match between AJ and John Cena and how it was great. And he talks about being here last year and hitting John Cena with a steel chair. And then he says, because on the next episode of Raw, John Cena hit him with an attitude adjustment because he was all pissed off.
Yeah.
And despite hustle, loyalty, and respect, John Cena continues to be disrespectful. His character is kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart says, if you're ever in a situation where you're going to be hit with an attitude adjustment, tuck in your shirt.
Yeah.
Because his shirt went whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. New Day comes out and he takes off his hoodie to reveal a New Day t-shirt because Big E is still out with ring postitis.
Yeah.
And he's going to be cheering on Kofi and Xavier from ringside when they do the next match, which is defending the tag team titles against Gallows and Anderson. Yeah. So it's the New Day with Jon Stewart in their corner, defending the titles against Gallows and Anderson. And they start attacking Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
The crowd they get ready to pull Jon Stewart into the ring post.
Oh yeah.
And the crowd's like, yes, yes, yes. But Big E runs out.
Yeah.
He's back and his balls are okay. And he levels.
God.
He just beats the crap out of Gallows and Anderson, and the referee calls for the bell. So it's actually it's a I guess it's DQ because of.
They
attacked Big E DQs.
Yeah, because they attack. I can't remember if they called it a no contest because they attack Jon Stewart.
Yeah, I kind of like that New Day, despite definitely being good guys, still kind of continue to win matches with sort of heel tactics. Yeah. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like the Eddie Guerrero, right?
Yeah,
that will be forever be associated.
So yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the official ruling winner. The club wins by DQ.
Yeah, I think that's why they get their rematch because. In kayfabe terms, it's like, oh, you won by DQ, so it's just like, okay, we need to have another one to.
Big E also takes a drink from the the pickled egg glass,
pickled egg jar, yeah.
Next up, with many matches left to go on the card, the World Championship match.
Oh, yeah. See, this is where people were like, the pacing is just all over the place.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad because this match was actually really good, and the crowd was just not feeling it. Like they were just burned out, man. Mm-hmm. Dean Ambrose wrestled like a heel this match.
Yeah. This is Dean Ambrose defending against Dolph Ziggler, who start fighting before the match has even begun. Yeah. And Shane and Daniel Bryan have to break them up. And then, Dean Ambrose wrestled like a heel, which was really...
He was like taunting Ziggler and doing all that stuff. Yeah, it was like someone needed to be a heel.
Because I talked about this ahead of time, that I was really interested that both these guys were they were meant to be the good guys, kinda, and how was this going to go? But Dean's character certainly lends itself more to...
Because when the Shield first came in, they were heels, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I think wasn't Dean or more of the mouthpiece, I guess, of the group?
So. Yeah, Dean did most of the talking.
Yeah, so he knows how to be... I'm not saying that. He knows how to do it, right? It's not like he was a babyface his entire career or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the match was good. Ziggler is always fun to watch, I think.
I like Ziggler a lot.
Yeah, and I think even the build-up to this match is really great as far as making us believe, even though Ziggler hasn't won that much.
I put those clips of Spirit Squad and Kerwin White in the last episode.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. His humble beginnings.
Yeah. And I think the finish is just a Dirty Deeds.
And it's Ambrose lands on his feet after Ziggler tries to hit a face buster off the top rope.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
And Ambrose lands on his feet and hits with the Dirty Deeds and gets the pinfall.
It's just a shame about the crowd. They were just burned out.
I mean, after the AJ Cena match and then the New Day thing, they're just like, oh right,
there's more
the world title.
Yeah. Yeah, it also felt weird. It was just put in the middle of the show. And also, doesn't it go world title match and then it's the women's match? And then it's
Yeah,
Reigns and Rusev.
Then we have Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Carmella versus Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
Because it's a surprise return for Nikki Bella because Eva Marie's announcer comes on and says, Eva Marie will not be competing tonight as she is on vacation after suffering from exhaustion. Exhaustion, by the way, brought on from dealing with social media fans.
Really?
Yeah. Dealing with excitable WWE fans, she is exhausted.
Yeah.
You know.
Match was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Being 100% honest.
Someone literally just tweeted at me, like I just got a Twitter notification from someone saying, wait, is Sami Zayn's finisher really called the hell of a kick?
Yeah.
Hashtag took way too long to figure out. Yeah, the haluva kick. It's a hell of a kick.
Yeah. In the indies, in the indies it was called the Yakuza kick. But they can't obviously call it the Yakuza kick.
Fair enough.
On primetime television. Where, actually, I'm still blown away that they call Reigns' move the drive-by still.
Yeah.
They call it the drive-by.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Bada boom shakalaka. Bada boom. Anyway, so yeah, Nikki returns. Huge pop.
Yeah, it was actually a massive pop. It was way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
And she, even though she's on the heel team, they got to remember that someone, even if heel coming back, is going to be cheered.
Yeah. But I think in the long run, for stuff like this, I think they don't care. They're just like, we're just going to throw her out there. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of reaction she gets because we can just change the story next week, like this week on television, right? Like they can. I mean, they don't always do that, obviously, but I think they don't care.
I dig Naomi's new
thing.
Her
It's
whole
awesome
shtick with the glow in the dark and she's improved a lot.
Oh my god, yeah. Going to the 6-pack match for the women's title on SmackDown, that match was awesome. The Backlash match.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. It's funny how we looked at SmackDown's women's roster, like it's kind of shallow, and it's been awesome.
They've been doing amazing
great
work with it.
Yeah, they actually
on Raw, you literally have the title picture and
Nia
Jax.
Yeah. Well, they actually got a lot better. Like at Clash of Champions on the pre-show, Nia fought Alicia Fox.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a story there, and it wasn't just a jobber that Nia was fighting.
Yeah. Nikki, Natalya, and Alexa Bliss win this match.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They reveal the Universal title.
Oh God. Yeah.
And the crowd spends the rest of the pay-per-view just pissing about this title belt.
Yeah. Fucking. I was so mad. I was actually upset. I was watching. I was like, who the fuck cares? Like, I didn't even think it looked bad when I saw it. I was like, it's red. Yeah, I was like, Whatever. It looks a little hokey, but whatever, man. Because Finn Balor and Seth Rollins put on an awesome match, and all the crowd did the whole time was chant about the fucking belt. And then I guess Seth Rollins posted on Twitter like the next night. He's like, I'm disappointed, Brooklyn, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, fair enough, man.
Yeah.
I was like, good on you. I mean, no offense to people from Brooklyn that are watching right now, but you guys are assholes. Like,
come on.
Yeah. Who cares? It's a fucking belt. Like, it doesn't. It's a very small part.
Yeah.
Of. And like there's stuff I would have loved for them to do, like bring back the old Eagle belt.
Yeah.
That thing would have been awesome.
And like we said, like I thought it looked underwhelming when sat there, but once someone was like holding it, I was like, all right, no, it's okay, I'm on board with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. And anyway, I guess they should have revealed it. You know what they should have done is revealed what the belt looked like on Raw to get that out of the way, and not revealed the Demon King until.
Yeah, they should have flipped it. They really should have. Yeah, they should have flipped it.
So yeah, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor as the Demon King.
Yeah.
For the inaugural WWE Universal Championship.
Yeah.
And
Finn Balor,
really good match.
Fucking shoulder blows up, and they show it like 8 million times.
Seth picks him up, and I don't know what the move is called.
He does that powerbomb into the turnbuckle, but he did it on the outside.
Yeah, so powerbomb into the barricade, and Balor sort of turns around and stops his fall with his arm, and dislocates his shoulder, and you can see him pop it back in.
Yeah, it's so gross.
And keep wrestling for another like 10 minutes.
Yeah, dude.
And finish and win this match to be the first WWE Universal Champion.
I'd be tapping out the second that thing popped out. I'd be like, time out. We're done. Stop. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. Adam's down. Like,
can't believe it.
No, man, it was nuts. And for the next like 3 weeks, they replay that slow motion injury over and over again. And the whole time I'm just like, stop, please stop.
So Finn Balor wins.
Yeah. Which I actually didn't expect.
I didn't expect that either.
No,
that's
didn't see it.
amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And then you find out the next night that because of that injury, it wasn't just a dislocated shoulder. He also tore
his labrum.
Yeah,
torn labrum.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sure, labrum. I believe you. He is going to be out for like 6 months because he needs minor surgery, and he has to.
Well, they said like
the title.
6 to 8.
Yeah,
and then they're like more like 8+. Like it's a lot worse. That's the vibe I got. Was from what and then I just reading reports online. Like I'm not hearing it from Finn Balor himself or from the doctor.
I'm praying for a Royal Rumble return.
That's what we're all hoping for, I think. Because we were like, I think everybody was like, when did he get hurt? Be back for the Rumble, right?
Yeah,
right.
You make it happen.
Yeah. So
John Cena can't be the only Wolverine they have on staff, right?
That's true, right? Well, Seth Rollins did an admirable job coming back from his knee injury. The match was great. Finn Balor wins, so he's your first ever WWE Universal Champion.
You can't take that away from him. He's still the first ever.
Yeah. And when he comes back, he's instantly inserted into the title picture.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And so the next night on Raw, he has to his arm is in a sling, but they let him come down to the ring with it before he has to give it to Mick Foley. Yeah. And then of course Seth comes down and is all pissy and is like, "I want the thing, give it to me because I was number 2, I guess I get it now."
Yeah.
But no, they end up doing a whole thing with it, which
I felt really bad for Finn because it's like his parents are in the front row and it's just like, and he's smiling. He's putting on such a good face about it,
Yeah.
Even though he's like he spent 2 years in NXT to get to this moment, right?
Yeah.
More than 2 years because obviously all the stuff he did on the independents, but. You spend 2 years in WWE developmental to get to the main stage, and you finally get there, and then your first pay-per-view match, and you win the title, the Raw Brand Championship, and then your shoulder's fucked. So see you in 6 to 8 months. God, those are bad beats. Those are the baddest beats.
Did you see him tweeting about how he got clearance from the medical staff to put Lego together?
No,
he was like, because they're like you can't do anything with this arm. You got to keep this arm completely steady. And then like a month after the injury, he was like he tweeted, he's like, I got clearance. I can put Lego together again.
That's
yay!
Amazing.
And then the official Lego account was like, sweet.
Did they send him free Lego?
I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah, you need something to do.
And that was the last match on the card.
Yeah, that's it. Everybody go home. We're all done.
That was the last real match.
Yeah, that's true.
So next, the next match is supposed to be Reigns challenging Rusev for the U.S. title.
Yeah.
But they come down to the ring and they immediately start fighting.
Yep.
Before the match has even started.
Yeah. And this is weird because I was like, I was sympathizing with Rusev. As weird as it was
Reigns
going
is just
into
beating
this.
the shit out of him.
Yeah, I was like, poor Rusev, man. And he was like, he was a heel showing off that, we talked about this, with the wedding ceremony and everything else.
Yeah.
And even the whole time he's being out, I was like, Rusev is actually just defending the honor of his wife. And Reigns is beating the crap out of him.
Yeah, and officials are trying to separate them,
Yeah.
but they can't. And they rule that Rusev is not fit to compete because Reigns has clocked him about the head so much.
Yeah.
And so there's no... There's
made Reigns look like a badass.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Like, the thing is, I actually thought this was totally sweet.
Yeah.
I actually really dug that there wasn't a match, that it was just a brawl, that it meant that there couldn't be a match, and that, I thought it actually worked well for both people. It worked well for this build. Mm-hmm. But putting this match here on the card,
at this point in the card
was just sort of like, what? Huh?
Yeah. Like both world title matches
so tiring.
were before this.
And I wasn't even having any of the slam garitas. I had a beer, but I was like, I'm so done with everything.
Yeah, I was pretty like, that's what I meant. The pacing of this event was off. So we had a no contest.
And so then
we didn't really, like, even after this, we didn't hear much about this feud because Rusev was like kind of here and there, kind of come and go, leading up to Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple weeks before it got a bit more intense, but Rusev was just kind of like, Reigns was just kind of inserted into the title picture again, kind of briefly.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they've just been like teasing at it.
Yeah.
They'll put him in like, if you win this match, you're going to be inserted into the title match kind of thing.
Nope.
Which they've been doing for the last 2 months.
Back down to U.S. title, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a thing.
And then your main event, nominally, Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. The match 15 years in the making.
Fuck. Are you serious? You know what I hated about this match more than the finish?
The build-up?
No. The build-up, they spent the entire build-up saying, takes one RKO. That's it. One RKO and I can win this. Randy Orton hits an RKO in the match. Didn't make a difference.
Yep.
You know? Like, maybe I'm being nitpicky, but when that's the focal point of the build-up,
yeah,
it either shouldn't happen or he should win the match.
Yeah.
That's my reasoning. You know what I mean?
So, unsurprisingly, but kind of upsettingly, it very quickly turns into the way that Lesnar matches have been booked recently.
I think
over the past couple of years, which is just Lesnar beats the crap out of someone and throws them over the ring. Mm-hmm. Even though it's Randy Orton. Like, Randy tries to do his normal stuff, and then like a little bit of it happens, and he gets like a little bit of offense. Yeah. And then it's just, nope, now Brock is suplexing you all over the ring. Yeah. And then the finish happens because Brock hits a very stiff elbow into Randy's forehead. He hits once. Yeah. And it doesn't work because this is very much intentional. And he hits a second time and busts Randy's forehead open. Yeah. And then you'll note that he starts hitting him more softly and actually pulling punches. Yeah. Like this is very intentional. To like the finish for this match was for Brock to bust Randy open. Yeah. But man, did he bust Randy open. Yeah, he busted Randy's just bad. Gushing blood from his forehead.
It was like 13 staples or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I don't advocate this like
that's good.
They call it the hard way.
Yeah. Well, they don't blade anymore. Yeah. Right. And I guess, and we sort of threw shade on them for that time that they gave Roman a blood pack.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. That was awful, actually. That was bad. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
If they like, I don't mind using like a real sort of injury like that as a way to make things seem really real and really visceral, you know. Mm-hmm. But like, man, Brock just wailed on Randy's head to you know, it was the backstage story is that no one knew about this except for Randy and Brock and I guess Vince or, you know, probably Triple H, I don't know, like a couple people backstage. Yeah. And it was basically like, hey, can you hit him in the forehead in a way that he will bust open and bleed? You know, yes, okay, cool, Randy, this is how the match is going to end. He's going to bust your head open and bleed, and then we'll call the match on a technical because you're bleeding everywhere. And it's like, okay, that's got to be weird to get told that. We're going to hit your head so hard that you bleed, and then that'll be the end of the match. Also, you're losing. So
yeah, it's just like the head injury, like with all these problems with concussions and head injuries, it's just like, it just made me feel really uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I didn't like the ending.
So Shane runs down and starts getting in Lesnar's face, being like, "What the hell are you doing?" Because Randy is on SmackDown, and Shane's like, "That's one of my highest stars."
He had a reason to be there. Like, exactly. That was like a.
So he's like, "What are you doing?" And then Brock F5'd Shane, which is that. By the way, was when I was like, "Okay, this was intentional." Yeah. Right, because in the moment, what they're trying to make you think, this is that sort of reality era line blurring that we were talking about. Where what they're trying to make you think is like, holy shit, is this real? Like, is this unscripted? Did Brock Lesnar actually just get so mad that he thought he was in MMA and busted Randy Orton's head open legitimately in what is supposed to be a pretend fight? Yeah. Right? But when Shane came down, like, Brock might, like, I would believe maybe, I don't know Brock personally. Maybe he could get so mad. I don't actually. I think he's actually more professional than that. Yeah. But you know, maybe he could get so mad. They've done such a great job of blurring his character about what. Maybe he is this crazy, you know, nut job who got popped for doing steroids at UFC or whatever. Maybe he would do that, right? Yeah. But he's not gonna F5 Shane McMahon, and Shane's not gonna take an F5 from Brock Lesnar if that's not planned.
Part of the story.
So.
Did I mention this?
What a lame ending to a pay-per-view,
super lame ending.
It just ended on a big...
Yeah. I mean, it made Brock. I think like my honeymoon with Brock is kind of over. Like it's been kind of the same match every time.
Yeah.
And now it feels like they've kind of backed themselves into this corner where every Brock match has to go that way every time.
Yep.
I don't know if I mentioned this on the last show, but I know I talked about it with you. But I was hoping that this storyline heading out of this after Shane getting F5 by Brock, was Shane would become a man possessed trying to find someone from SmackDown to beat Brock. Beat Brock. Because like Brock's like Raw's big hired gun, right?
Yeah.
So now he would spend all his time like putting people through ridiculous matches and stuff trying to get them, find that one person. Or like hiring people from NXT, i.e. Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe.
Because I would pay a lot of money to watch Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar beat the piss out of each other.
Is that where that's... I don't know. Maybe it started earlier than that. Is that where the so-and-so is going to kill you chant started with Joe?
Yeah. Joe, I think it originally originated in like Ring of Honor. And I know Samoa Joe...
Before TNA?
Yeah, before TNA.
Right.
Ring of Honor was like... I remember watching like videos of Samoa Joe and CM Punk had these like super great matches. And that was the first time I'd heard it, was Joe's gonna kill you. Yeah.
And then the NXT crowd applied that to Asuka.
Asuka's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I've heard like Bray is gonna kill you and stuff like that too.
Really? Bray Wyatt, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how...
SummerSlam.
That was SummerSlam. I had a fun time with it while watching it, but yeah, the pacing... Again, the individual matches, most of them seemed fine, but the pacing was sort of all over the place, and it just felt like such an anticlimax to end on that weird, like...
Yeah, it was like...
TKO with, like, medical staff trying to push Brock
away.
Do you
buy into the philosophy of never end on a down note?
I don't think you'd have to never end on a down note, but you should end on...
Like, send the fans home happy?
You should end on... You should end on something more of a definitive resolution.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean, too, is, like... Send the fans home happy-ish.
Like,
you know, like just have a finish. You know what I mean?
In this main event, Brock or Randy could have won that match, and it would have been a fine end to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Right? But this sort of like, no, this is the medical people in the ring, and what's going on, and it's over. Oh, huh?
It's over.
Was this sort of like, Apparently, this is again sort of backstage stories, somewhat corroborated by the man himself, but Chris Jericho
I heard
got...
this.
Really concerned,
Fair enough,
you know, that Randy was bleeding everywhere, and the rumor is that he showed up at the gorilla position just inside the curtains.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going? Like, was that the finish? Like, was that what you had planned to happen, or is he legitimately hurt? And again, rumor, the Michael Hayes basically was like, don't worry about it, and just wouldn't give him a straight answer, which super pissed him off because he's friends with Randy and is worried about his well-being.
Yeah.
And so Jericho starts yelling about how that's bullshit as Lesnar comes through the curtains and thinks that Jericho's talking about Lesnar, and Lesnar's like, well, what are you going to do about it? And Jericho gets up in Lesnar's face and is like, you going to make me do something about it? And Triple H had to pull them apart.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's okay. That was planned. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Good on Jericho, because I wouldn't do that. F that.
No,
man.
God, no.
Never in a million years.
No.
I'd be like, you know what? Here, take my wallet. You can have it.
Yeah.
It's yours. Enjoy. Here's all my information.
And it's like, what, you know, am I allowed to have an opinion on this? I don't know. But I think that, like, not telling people is way more bullshit than having a finish be busting someone open, right?
Because it's like when they're... Cause
like, if that all happened the way that the story supposedly says, right? For Michael Hayes to not give Jericho a straight answer...
That sounds weird for...
Such an asshole move, you know?
That's where I started finding the story hard to believe.
Yeah, exactly. We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
So it's like, whatever. But Jericho did confirm
because you know that like Hayes is just as concerned for talent as anyone else is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Jericho did confirm that there was an altercation with him and Brock backstage that did not come to blows, but that
because Jericho's still alive.
Yeah, exactly. But that you know,
like Jericho, I love
like,
you, but Brock would eat you
cruiserweight
alive.
Jericho, remember?
Yeah, doing all that flippy shit.
Yeah. So then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, Backlash.
Yeah.
It just so quick.
It was like that was it.
More like Whiplash. Hey. Yeah, it was so
Got
quick.
him.
It was like, oh, right, because now there's all these pay-per-views happening all of the time. Uh-oh.
Oh, gee. That's when I knew we were in deep shit.
Yeah.
At that moment, they were like, Backlash is only 1 week. Next week on Backlash. I'm like, what? Next week? We haven't even recorded SummerSlam yet.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, long and short of Backlash leading up to it was AJ Styles reminding everyone that he beat up John Cena, and he was carrying around the wristband.
Yeah.
AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose. This is the first time that I've heard crowds boo Ambrose. Was this lead up, and even during their match?
Yeah.
Was like people were booing Ambrose. He wasn't exactly catching the world on fire leading up to this event.
Yeah.
Like as far as like his promos and stuff, I felt like anyway. On the ending of one episode of Smack, like 2 weeks before Backlash, Dean Ambrose is having a match with Baron Corbin, and AJ Styles interferes and causes Corbin to lose, and Ambrose ends up crotching AJ on the top rope. AJ goes to attack him, and he knocks him off and crotches him, which is where they, fall crotch first on the top rope. And that's literally how the episode ended. I was like, oh, okay, that's an ending. Yeah. And I think the next week they had a promo where Dean brings a trophy for AJ, and he's like, oh, it's my old bowling trophy. It was for participation, so you should fit right in your house or something like that. And I was like, oh, damn! Got him! Yeah. And then AJ, foreshadowing, kicks Dean in the groin and then smashes the trophy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little random backstage segments with AJ talking to interns and stuff. And I think he smashes one of their phones because he thought he was taking a picture of AJ. He thought he was taking a picture as AJ was walking by.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I was texting my mom.
There's the ongoing Heath Slater debacle.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Was this the Miz promo? This was after SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did we talk about it last week?
No, we didn't.
No? Okay. Mike Mizuno. Is that what his name is?
Mizanin.
Mizanin?
Yeah.
Okay. Mizuno.
Mizuno.
You fucking idiot, Adam. All right.
The great Mizuno?
We'll edit it in post, yeah.
Sure. No, that's staying in.
That's staying in. So after every episode of SmackDown, they have this thing called Talking Smack. My Twitter feed actually blew up when this happened.
Me too.
I was like, this is where I was kind of freaked out about doing this. Because so many people, it's just a weird, you're probably used to it, I guess. I wasn't, and it was just weird. It just felt weird. That's all. Not to discourage you from doing it, but I just, as someone who is not used to that kind of attention, that people actually were like,
being like,
do you see what's happening? Yeah, do you know what's happening? Are you watching this right now? And I was just like, no, but I turned it on.
Yeah. So Talking Smack is it's a half-hour show that immediately follows SmackDown.
Which is a brilliant idea.
But it's broadcast on the network. It's hosted by Renee Young.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan's often on it.
Yeah.
And often on it. And it's it's meant to be a talk show. It's still broadly in storyline.
I think it's 100% in storyline.
But it's, yeah
and no.
But it's a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
And there was this episode of Talking Smack where Daniel Bryan's there and The Miz and Maurice come on, and Miz starts cutting a promo on Daniel Bryan.
Well, the thing that sets it off is Daniel's like, when I was an indie wrestler, I would describe, I was going to describe the slow, boring WWE style, I would point to you. Yeah. It's like, you're the wrestler that I would point out. I don't want to wrestle like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Miz just...
He describes it specifically, Miz's wrestling style. To note, the Miz has not ever been injured in the WWE.
Yeah.
He describes his style as safe.
Safe, yeah.
And Miz
loses it.
And we have no idea how much of this was...
I think it was all planned.
Planned? I guess. But, he starts going off on Daniel Bryan being like, oh, safe. Yeah. So, you'd rather that I got injured and then be here like you who can't wrestle anymore. Yeah. Because you
told everyone, I'll be back to defend this or get my Intercontinental title. After he got injured after winning the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 31?
And then he had to vacate the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you told everyone you'd be back to take this. And guess what? You never did.
Yeah.
And he gets really personal about it, and Bryan objects a little bit and then just leaves. Like Bryan looks like so angry and overcome by emotion.
I mean, Miz has a point, right?
Yeah.
And then the thing about this promo was like Miz had a point.
Yeah. He's like, I wrestle safe and I'm still wrestling.
Yeah.
And then when Bryan leaves, Miz is like, and Renee Young is trying to defuse him, and he's like, no, shut up, I'm still talking, and he's like, point the camera at me, and he just starts yelling directly into the camera, like an old 1980s promo, being like, look, I'm still here, and I'm fighting, and I'm defending it, and you people...
It's day 140 of the Miz Intercontinental World Tour.
Yeah, you people, you're always, you're booing me or whatever, but I am still here, and it's this amazing, visceral promo.
Man, we were on the Miz train when we started this show.
Oh, yeah. And it's only gotten better.
Yeah. So good. I haven't really watched a lot of the other episodes of Talking Smack, so I don't know if
they actually put together a cool little, on the WWE YouTube channel, they put together like a sort of the rise of the Miz, like a little 3-minute video package of through his career, like starting on the Real World and then
I think
Tough Enough.
They showed it on SmackDown. I think. They showed that thing. It was really cool.
The second best Miz video package behind the one before the title match at WrestleMania.
Never saw it. Was it good?
It was really good. It was like him, in a dark room, like watching all these monitors and
that's so cool.
Being like, you have a lot of preconceptions about me, and fuck you.
Yeah,
it was great.
So and then Heath Slater was. It's so hard picking the best storyline in SmackDown because they were all really good.
So we talked about Heath Slater challenging Brock and getting up in Brock's face and being like, I've got my kids, I have to try and do this, and Brock beats the crap out of him. Yeah,
and then he fights Randy Orton and wins by DQ.
Yes.
And then they were like, here's your contract, and Heath Slater's like so out of it that he calls Shane and Stephanie, and then they take the contract away.
So he brings his kids to the show. There's Heath's kids. It's like hashtag or whatever.
Yeah.
And he talks about what's his wife's name? Beulah. And
is this the episode before or after they go to his actual trailer park?
I can't. Well, this is all
the order.
This is all in the lead up to Backlash.
Yeah. Okay.
He talks about how they're going to get a double wide.
Yeah.
They want to get a double wide trailer.
Yeah.
An above ground pool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's just basically like...
And the crowd's eating it up,
man. Leaning into sort of I don't want to say redneck, but redneck aspirations.
Yeah, like hitting the big time.
You don't want to... It's not about moving out of the trailer park. It's about getting the best trailer.
Yeah.
Right? I love that.
Yeah.
And I doubt any of the people that were in the ring with him were actually his family.
Yeah.
But,
Because, Slater and Rhino got teamed together to be part of this tag team tournament.
Yeah.
Because, they introduce, after SummerSlam, they introduce a women's title and a pair of tag team titles, which are blue.
Yeah.
Coloring.
They look sweet.
They look sweet. I mean.
So I've always liked, people call them the penny belts. I've always really liked the bronze tag team belts on Raw.
They've grown on me.
I kind of like them also because, bronze, they're kind of like the third tier belt on the show. Mm-hmm. And so they have those in silver on blue on SmackDown for the SmackDown tag team belts. And yes, a women's belt on SmackDown. So the women's division on SmackDown has something to do.
Yes.
And the inaugural tag team champs for SmackDown and women's champs for SmackDown will be decided on Backlash.
Yeah.
And so, they have a tag team tournament to figure out who's going to fight for it at Backlash.
Yeah.
And they're like, and you know what? You're not under contract, but Heath, sure, you can tag with Rhino.
And then they say, if you win, you get a contract.
Yeah.
So it's okay, so he gets Rhino, and there was a building on, Heath takes his kids to a SmackDown event, and also they do a Renee Young, Interview at Heath's house.
Yeah.
His trailer park, and it's Beulah, his wife, and then they they don't know where their kids are. They said, I don't know, they're out digging for parts or something. I can't remember what they said. And Heath's wife brings out hors d'oeuvres for them to eat, and it's just a plate. It's a plate with saltines on it, which are just crackers with spray cheese whip. Yeah. With spray cheese on it, and Rhino digs into it. It was pretty funny.
His wife's real name is Stephanie, and he has 2 children.
You mean that's not his real wife? My perception. Yeah.
His real name is also Heath Wallace Miller III.
Damn. That's fancy.
Citation needed.
So they have this tag team tournament.
Yeah.
Heath and Rhino just eventually get to the finals. They beat the Hype Bros and somebody else. I'm trying to remember. God.
Rizongo?
No, I don't think it was.
I'm trying to think of all the. I'm trying to think of the only other tag teams on SmackDown.
Yeah, there's not many. No, Headbangers. The Headbangers came back.
Oh right.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I forgot about that.
They beat the Hype Bros round 1, and then the Headbangers. Who were a tag team in the Attitude Era. Mosh and Thrash. They were the Headbangers, and they were just metalheads.
Headbangers.
They're former tag team champions.
Yeah.
I think they beat the APA for the titles.
Wow.
Yeah. So they came back for one night.
Oh, was it just a one night thing?
I think it was just a one night thing, because I haven't seen them since. Huh. But I remember reading a tweet from one of the Mosh or Thrash. One of them was super excited. I was like, oh, I get to finally be on WWE TV and my kid can watch.
Cool.
I was like, oh, good for you.
Nice.
So the Headbangers came back. They lost to Rhino. And basically every Heath Slater Rhino match is Heath gets beat up for a real long time and then tags in Rhino and Rhino gores somebody.
Nice.
And then they win. And that's it.
Yeah. So what happens with the Usos?
The Usos...
I haven't actually seen this episode.
Yeah, the Usos beat somebody in round 1, and then they were facing, in round 2 to go to the finals, they were facing American Alpha.
Right.
And before the match, the Usos gave this like typical babyface promo that was like, we know American Alpha are a couple good dudes, and they're the new kids on the block, but we're here to show them that we still run this show because we're the Usos, and we've won all kinds of stuff around here. Let's do it, Us.
Hashtag play hard in the paint.
Yeah. You know that's a basketball thing, right?
What?
Yeah.
We don't have that in Canada.
Yeah, we don't have the basketballs. So they cut this promo, and then they go have this match with American Alpha, and they lose. The match is over in like under a minute.
Yeah.
American Alpha basically hit the Grand Amplitude, which is a launching suplex where Jason Jordan launches them in the air, and then Chad Gable catches them on the way down into like a bridging, pinning, German suplex kind of thing. The Usos lose it after they lose that match and attack Chad Gable. They target his knee. They chop block him. They do like a big splash onto his knee. And then, essentially, that's just a heel turn, right? They just freak out after the match. And then they get to an interview and they're like, yeah, this was just us the whole time, right? It was boiling, it was building. We're sick of these new guys being around. And it's like, we got to take business into our own hands.
So they gave the Usos the heel turn they should have given Roman.
Yeah, essentially.
Because the Usos, I'm a lot more into them now.
Yeah. Oh, God. This has been like a revitalization. Yeah, there's 100 times more interesting.
So how did they get back into the tournament?
Okay,
because at Backlash, they are fighting the Hype Bros to get into the finals against Slater and Rhino.
So what they announced after that, because that attack happened like the week. That was the go-home episode of SmackDown. So they announced that because of the attack to Chad Gable, he wasn't medically cleared. He wasn't medically cleared, so like, okay, well, we're going to have the Hype Bros, because the Headbangers can't come back.
Right.
They're going to have the Hype Bros and the Usos fight on Backlash, and then the winner of that fights Slater and Rhino.
Later that same night. Okay, cool.
And then the women they didn't do a whole lot that just stood out, but it was just the women being like, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. I think there was one interview where they started with Becky, Alexa, Natty, and Carmella in the ring. And Becky was just basically getting the heels to yell at each other. It was kind of funny. And
they had a match on an episode of SmackDown where Carmella turned heel.
Yeah, so Carmella turned heel, which was, thank God, because she wasn't doing anything as a face. And she attacked Nikki Bella on Talking Smack. She attacked Nikki on SmackDown, and then on the episode of Talking Smack that same night, she attacked Nikki again. Yeah. And I think that just even the way Carmella presents herself lends itself more to being a heel. Because she was a face before because she was associated with Enzo and
I love her ridiculously complicated submission hold.
God, what do they call it? Dead Space? Something like that?
Wow, that's a pretty straight up name.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Someone's going to correct me.
All right.
Something dead something or something space.
So then, from the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia, and presented by KFC. It is Backlash 2016. There are...
Oh, sorry. We didn't cover the ridiculous chicken and Colonel Sanders commercial. It's ridiculous. Sorry.
Matches on the card.
That SummerSlam commercial, if you can find it, look it up. I don't even know what you would look up. Just look up Dolph Ziggler, Miz, KFC, and I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube.
It's so weird.
It's weird, dude.
Dolph as Colonel Sanders looks amazing.
Yeah. So basically, the commercial. I just remembered because that commercial, they placed that after the Roman Reigns match.
It confused the hell out of me.
And like right in between Roman Reigns and Rusev, no contest, and Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton did not finish kind of thing. Basically, the Miz is like a chicken. And he's trying to sell a second-rate chicken sandwich.
It's like a TV commercial. They're like in like a suburban house or something.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a WWE arena.
Yeah.
And Dolph, dressed like Colonel Sanders, is in the ring.
Yeah.
Cutting a promo, being like, "Hey, chicken man," and then the Miz on the screen in this commercial, like, stops doing the commercial and like turns to look at Dolph and is like, "What?" And then there's like a fog screen in front of the ring entrance, so Colonel Ziggler goes through the fog, shows up in the commercial, grabs Chicken Miz and throws him back out into the arena. And then they fight in the ring. This is a commercial for the KFC
the
chicken.
Colonel wins because his chicken sandwich is the best.
It's finger little good.
Yeah.
You're welcome, KFC. Free advertising.
Yeah. I just remembered about that commercial. So that was the thing that happened.
So Backlash, Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia.
Thanks, KFC. On the pre-show, Baron Corbin defeats Apollo Crews, and nobody cares.
Yeah, not really.
All right. The first match of the night on the actual card is a 6-pack elimination challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This is to crown the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yeah.
And it's an elimination match, so it's all 6 women start.
Yeah.
And as one of them gets pinned or submitted, then they are out, and the other 5 continue, and so on and so forth. And it's Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Naomi, Natalia, and Nikki Bella.
Yeah. This match was awesome.
It was really good.
Awesome. Leading into this pay-per-view, I will be 100% honest with you, I was like, yeah.
I feel like we say this every time. Like, if you only started watching wrestling since we've started doing this podcast, you would be forgiven for not thinking that giant matches with tons of different wrestlers in it
would be good.
Would be good.
Yeah.
Because
they're very hard to do.
I think I might have worded that wrong. But we have been trained through years of watching wrestling that if you get a fatal 4-way is fine, but if you get a fatal 5-way or a 6-pack challenge or certainly a battle royal on an episode of Raw, it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
And yet, time and time again, we say, now these are usually terrible, but this one was okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they're learning how to book them better.
Yeah, I think so.
This was a sweet match.
It was a lot of fun.
And elimination is better than just a straight up 6-pack challenge anyway, because elimination you lose 1, you lose 2, and then eventually you get down to a 1-on-1 fight.
Yeah.
And
I much prefer the bigger matches like that to be elimination.
Yeah.
Rather than 1 pin and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Because the more people you get into a matchup,
over the course of it.
But not only that, but like if you have, let's say you have a 6-pack challenge and it's 1 pin gets a winner, there's a lot of fandangling to do for the finish to make sure that like 4 other people are incapacitated.
Yeah.
Which is easier to do for like Money in the Bank because there's ladders and shit and people are just diving off stuff. But like for a normal match like this, I find it harder to suspend my disbelief that 4 other people are going to be out for long enough for a 3 count to happen.
Speaking of finagling, I can't. Did I ever tell you about the dumbest match stipulation for a multi-person match I have ever heard?
No.
This is when my buddies and I were regularly watching TNA.
Okay.
And I can't remember what they called this match, but this was the stupidest match ever.
Right.
And how about this fight for the right tournament? We're going to break it down, explain it. The winner will meet Sting at Genesis. It's 3 stages. Stage number 1. 18 wrestlers to start outside the ring. The first 7 over the top, they will continue on.
Then those 7 will compete in a battle royal to determine the tournament seeding. And then the final 2 left in that will continue on.
How about stage 3? The final 2 to meet in a singles match. The winner gets a bye to the tournament finals.
This is when we were voluntarily watching TNA because it was sweet.
What was it for? Do you remember?
I don't know. Probably the X Division title. I don't know. It was the dumbest thing even at the time we were like, this is really stupid. This is incredibly convoluted, especially because they have to contrive it that like, why when the bell rings doesn't everyone just dive in the ring?
Yeah.
Because the bell rings and they all start fighting outside.
No.
And we're all like, why? What are you doing?
Yeah, all you have to do is just roll into the ring.
Just get in the ring.
That's so fucking dumb. I'm so bad right now. Oh,
I'm going to find out what that match was called.
Please do, because I want to watch it now. Going back to six-pack challenges.
Becky Lynch.
Yeah, Becky Lynch.
Finally.
Dude, I felt like this match actually was a great showcase for not only Naomi, but also Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, Alexa did an amazing job.
Both of these women have benefited greatly from the draft split.
Yeah.
Again, like we said, looking at the SmackDown women's division, I was like, looks kind of shallow. Like, who do they have? Becky and Natty? Mm-hmm. And we didn't know about Nikki Bella at the time.
Yeah.
And I've been immensely impressed. It's been awesome. So Becky Lynch finally gets the big one.
Finally. You deserve it, chance all around.
Yeah. She calls herself Becky Balboa.
Becky Balboa.
Yeah.
Tag team match, the Usos versus the Hype Bros to get into the match later in the night.
Yeah.
And
Usos come out like, they don't do the little haka thing.
So here's I have something I wanted to say about that.
Yeah.
Because I used to rip on JBL and his announcing quite a lot because he would bicker with Michael Cole. He would make fun of Byron.
Like, as much as I defend JBL, like I don't think he's a good announcer.
And he would, the ball game and do such and stuff.
Yeah.
He's been a lot more tolerable since he's been on SmackDown.
Has he said ball game?
Probably.
I don't think he has.
And the thing is, I don't know if he's more tolerable on SmackDown because he's working with Mauro Ranallo and it's a different dynamic, or if he was given backstage instructions, or if he's improved or whatever, or if because he's now being compared to David Otunga, who is now the worst announcer in WWE.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, David.
I'm sorry, David.
I don't know why they took you out of the ring, but you do not belong on the announce team.
Whenever David Otunga's like, golly, you ever heard him say that?
He says nothing of value.
Yeah.
He adds nothing to the conversation. He's just like, well, that is a thing that happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, David. So the Usos are coming down to the ring. Yeah. Mauro Ranallo is like, this is a completely different Usos that we're seeing. They've changed their outfit. They're not doing the Siva Tau anymore. They're not dancing with the children. This is a very, very different group of people. Wouldn't you say, David? And David Otunga's like, yes, they don't even do the haka anymore. And it's like, okay, I've probably called it the haka too. Yeah. Here's the thing. It's called the Siva Tau because they are Samoan and the haka is Maori.
Yeah, I called the haka too.
I know you did. But even if you don't know that, we have an excuse. David Otunga works for the WWE. Two, Mauro just said they don't do the Siva Tau anymore. And David Otunga, as if he is contributing to the conversation, says, yes, and they don't do the haka. And Mauro does not respond. And I'm just like, Otunga, goddammit. It is a different thing. And Mauro just said what it was.
That's fucking brilliant. Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, what?
Maybe. So JBL's benefited from the Pratt split.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Is that he's done it. JBL, finally you're seen for the brilliance that you are. Yeah. David Otunga actually, now that I think about it, playing back, like, the things he says, he adds literally nothing.
No.
Byron Saxton adds more than he does.
Yeah, he does.
That's incredible, because I thought Byron didn't add anything either.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, because that's the weird thing about, like...
Corey still does NXT, right?
Yeah.
Can we get Tom Phillips on SmackDown?
Well, Tom Phillips does the interviewing on Raw, right? He does the backstage stuff now.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't like personally, that I find weird about three-man announce teams, is you're always going to have like two face announcers and one heel, or two heel and one face. Mm-hmm. So it just seems weird.
Or on SmackDown, a face, a heel, and
a ditto. Just a ditto.
Just
a fucking ditto.
Like the Pokemon?
Yeah, like it's just a ditto.
That face. What do you think, David? Just cut to David Otunga with the ditto, the line and 2 dots.
It's better than like a Mr. Mime, I guess, right? Like,
I do not want a Mr. Mime. We did a Checkpoint story making reference to like George Clooney as a ditto or something. Paul did a Photoshop of George Clooney's face, but with the line and the 2 dots. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I don't think I've ever seen
I couldn't stop laughing at it.
Oh my God, David Otunga. I don't even remember what he used to do as a wrestler. Was he any good?
He was in the Nexus.
Oh yeah.
Which was
Did he do anything
great.
after the Nexus?
No, I mean his thing was like, I can wrestle, but I have a degree in law. Also, I'm married to Jennifer Hudson.
Wait, was he?
He is.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Which is good for him.
Yeah, good for you.
Good job. But yeah, I mean he had like a minimal singles kind of attempt after the whole Nexus thing. Nexus was like the peak, really.
Yeah.
And then sort of a bunch of stuff didn't happen, and then the various backstage roles, and then he'd like show up. So he was sort of like backstage, except he's like this giant dude in like a sweater vest carrying around like a coffee traveling mug. Was like his backstage thing, and then
isn't that kind of just essentially what?
Basically, anytime he would show up randomly backstage, you would be like, "Shit, Otunga still works there." Like every time, you'd be like, "Oh, what?"
Isn't that kind of what Damien Sandow did though, like the intellectual savior?
Yeah, but no, he was like he was doing like. He was like helping out the authority figures, or like being like, "Oh, I can be your legal representation."
That sounds awful.
Speaking as a lawyer and also wrestler, like it was very weird.
All right, okay.
Anyway,
so the Usos come out and they're wearing like all. I think this on Backlash they're wearing like all white.
Yeah.
And they had this different look, and they didn't do the what was it called?
Siva Tau.
Siva Tau. Okay, I'm gonna have to remember that. So don't call it the Haka.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's called us out on that before.
I've called it the Haka too.
Fuck
I
me.
think people might not know.
We're all David Otungas. Now I can only picture Ditto in a suit sitting at ringside commentating on SmackDown. What do you think? Ditto Otunga?
I need to see this Photoshop now.
Ditto Otunga. We did it.
Man.
We nailed it. We can revitalize his career. Okay, so the Usos are heel.
Yeah.
They win this match.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they cheat or not.
Jimmy gets a half Boston Crab on Ryder and
they've
Ryder
been
taps.
they've been really falling back on that like chop block thing they did to
that.
check.
Oh, right. They actually work Ryder's knee a lot in this match. That was it. Yeah,
I think watching the Usos wrestle makes me think that all these tag teams, the heel tag teams, have been watching the Revivals matches because they just like they're like, okay, this is the way to do it, right? Yeah. So work a body part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like isolate somebody, quick tags, do that old school kind of like 80s wrestling.
Yeah.
Where heels like really kind of dig into a baby face. So the Usos win this match. They're going on to fight Slater and Rhino.
Yeah. Backstage, Slater and Rhino are asked about this by Renee Young.
Yeah.
And she's like, how do you feel? And Slater's like, I feel great. Everything's awesome. Me and Rhino, we're going to take it. No fear. Don't even worry about it. Woo! Goodbye. And walks off. And they're like, oh, okay. And Rhino looks like he's about to start talking. And then Slater comes back and he takes off his glasses. He's like, dude, I really need your backup out there. Like, I had all that yogurt earlier and it is like not doing stuff downstairs. Like, I'm not feeling good about this. Yeah. And Rhino's like, we are still live. And Slater's like, I knew that. I was messing with you. Don't even worry about it.
Fuck, has Slater been great. Woo! When Slater was, I know that we like the Social Outcasts, but I think, again, brand split, Slater has benefited the most. They've actually started doing stuff with Bo. Yeah. Axel is still missing, especially because there was not rumors, but Bo apparently got kicked off a flight.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Because he was intoxicated. We don't know the degree of the toxicity in his city. Got him.
You got him. Good job.
But we don't know how bad it was. Mm-hmm. But he apparently got kicked off. So I thought, oh, well, he's going to be in the doghouse, right? But
Yeah.
apparently it wasn't that bad because he was on TV like a week later squashing jobbers.
Yeah.
So they're doing something with Bo. Bo's doing something.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There's actually a scene backstage with the Miz talking to Jagger Eaton.
Yeah.
Do you know?
No, I don't
who
know
that
who
is.
that is.
Someone from Nickelodeon, I think.
Oh, right, the little kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does like some show. He's like Jagger Eaton conquers the world or some shit. I don't know. He just does like things with.
You know more than I do.
Yeah, I think they explained it on the show. I'm trying to remember now. He does things like where he goes to different celebrities and does stuff with them.
Okay. He offers to have Miz on the show unless he can get John Cena instead.
Yeah.
Daggers.
Yeah. It's like,
Okay.
damn. No respect.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
WWE Intercontinental Champion The Miz
Yeah.
defending against Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a build-up to this match again?
Yeah, it's just Ziggler interrupted because the storyline leading out of that talking smack was squarely upon Miz and Daniel Bryan, and everyone
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, Daniel Bryan's coming back to wrestle." It's like, fuck off!
he's not.
He's not coming back.
That's the whole point.
Give up the dream! God damn it! So Miz and they continued the storyline off air on Twitter, and it was Daniel Bryan and the Miz was trying to renegotiate his contract.
Yeah.
And so Miz finally, they get like a renegotiation or something. But in the weeks leading up to that on TV, during one promo, Miz was interrupted by Ziggler. And Ziggler is just like, I'm tired of you running your mouth, so I'm going to punch it. So that's kind of like what it was. I mean, Miz was driving home the point that Ziggler's kind of a loser. Like, I mean, if you're
Fair.
looking at it through the storyline, like Ziggler, when was the last time Ziggler won a feud?
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, can you tell me?
Good question.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's been a while.
yeah, because his feud.
I liked when he and Big E and AJ were AJ Lee,
Yeah,
not Styles, were
I've seen the video of him cashing in on Del Rio,
that was good.
and that was like, that crowd went nuts.
Yeah. That was huge.
But that was the thing, hey, Big E, Ziggler, and AJ.
So I guess it's weird. This is sort of like a speed bump match because like it's a good match. It's Miz,
a great match.
it's Ziggler. We like both of them. They're great.
I'm trying to remember the build-up better because I know that there's promos.
Because Miz retains.
The finish comes when Maurice sprays with
Yeah.
some like pepper spray or something, and
Or
then Miz
hairspray or whatever
or
it
something,
is.
and then gives Ziggler the skull crushing finale.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So after this is when the sort of the contract renegotiation thing starts heating up, and where Ziggler gets even more intense. Ziggler basically is not going to let Miz get away with this, essentially.
Yeah.
And is like, one more time, no Maurice, no managers,
Did you see?
no
watch
wives,
this
no
then?
girlfriends, no. He made reference to some other weird thing like way back. I can't remember. Or no stunt doubles. He
Doubles,
He
yeah,
referenced
yeah.
referenced Mizdow. He referenced another thing as well, and he's like, no more of this. We're gonna, you and me, let's do this again. And so they have a rematch at the next SmackDown pay-per-view, which is No Mercy.
Yeah.
And it is for the title
Yeah.
with the stipulation that if Ziggler loses,
Yeah.
he's done.
That's it. Career versus title.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to bring it up till later, but yeah, on this week's SmackDown was that promo.
Yeah.
And Miz was unbelievable, and Ziggler was almost even better.
Yeah.
Like, Miz was just basically like, you don't deserve it. Like, you just lose. That's
Yeah.
all you do. It's like, you don't deserve a shot. Like, why do I have to give you a shot? And he's leaving. And Ziggler looks like he's about to cry. He's like, this is all I have. I come here week after week, 300 days a year, and I put my body and soul into this business. And a lot of people keep saying to me, like, why do you put up with it? Why do you put up with it? It's because I love this business. And what if I put my career on the line? Because if I don't win, then there's no point.
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? So
we'll be talking. Well, I guess we'll cover that again when we talk about No Mercy. But yeah. So this match again. It's a cool match, but it's just
I think it's just
more
a speed bump to this bigger payoff. And the weird thing too is like everyone's kind of freaking out because Ziggler's contract is almost up. Mm-hmm. And we don't know if he's re-signing or not, right? So that's what I mean. This is why I want to watch this match because I'm just like, we don't know if is Ziggler going to win? Is Ziggler gone? Like
nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
So then the next match tonight is meant to be Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. The thing is, earlier in this night, Bray had attacked Randy in the hallway.
Yeah.
And like slammed him in a door.
Yeah.
Repeatedly, and Randy's not cleared.
He was actually outside of storylines. He wasn't cleared to wrestle.
Yeah.
Because he was still showing concussion symptoms, I think.
From the
fucking elbow
SummerSlam.
from Brock Lesnar.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
So Bray's thing is, all right, well then I win by no contest, or I win because of forfeiture.
Yeah.
Forfeiture.
Does he make them?
So then
do
he
the
goes
10
to the
count?
ring. Yeah, he makes them do a ceremonial 10 count. So they go to the ring
Which
the bell.
it seemed so weird for the Bray Wyatt character to do that, but it was still.
It's very much like a Ted DiBiase thing.
Yeah, it just felt weird for Bray Wyatt.
But so
to do
then,
that.
I think it's little Nate is in the ring doing like, all right, 1, 2, and they do the whole count.
Yeah.
And then winner via forfeit, Bray Wyatt. And then the announcer says, well, since we couldn't have that other match, I've just been told that Bray Wyatt will be competing tonight in a no-holds-barred match against
This guy.
It's Kane.
Yeah.
So we have Kane versus Bray Wyatt suddenly in a no-holds-barred match.
Yeah.
Which,
They beat the piss out of each other.
yeah, and then Kane wins.
Okay.
All right.
Randy Orton interfered in this match. People were losing it. Like, they're just like,
Yeah.
rip Bray Wyatt. He's
Yeah.
done. Stick a fork in him. Can't even beat Kane. It's like, okay, everybody fucking cool your jets for a second.
Yeah.
Randy Orton interfered
Yeah.
in this match. That's why Bray Wyatt lost.
He got an RKO on Wyatt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I the only one watching that? I didn't think that
Yeah,
that's
fine.
a good reason for losing that match.
Yeah, on paper, you're like, why did Kane,
Yeah.
Kane of all people, because of their history, beat Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
But
Randy Orton interfered to
Yeah.
continue the feud going on because this is how wrestling works. When people are freaking out about, well, Bray Wyatt's buried. That's it, man. Career over.
well, this feud's still going, right?
yeah, it's still going. They're wrestling at but No Mercy.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's like everybody just needs to relax.
Backstage,
It's not losing. It's how you lose.
Yeah.
And like how they do it in the storyline sense that you need to look at.
yeah. Backstage, AJ Styles randomly comes across 2 like indie wrestlers, like a couple like
They look weird too.
local jobbers, I
Yeah.
guess. And he's like, "Hey guys, indie wrestlers, local guys. I know, I've been there, man.
Yeah.
I know what, you're probably living in your car right now. You're wondering where your next gig is going to be. I totally get it. And you know what? You're destined for failure. Later."
Peace.
He's just like, you guys, failures.
Yeah.
You're never going to make it as
God,
well as I
why
have.
is AJ Styles so great? Like, how can you boo this man?
Yeah, no.
I can't boo him. He's a heel. I should boo him, but I can't.
Yeah.
I even said I was watching some of the build up to this again last night, and I was like, even said on Twitter, I was like, can AJ Styles have a bad match? Like, is it in his DNA? I know somebody like there's got to be something in TNA, right?
Oh, presumably.
There's got to be, but I haven't watched all his TNA, and I'm just like, every match I've seen with AJ, whether it's on pay-per-view or on just TV.
Well, if WWE buys the tape library,
Oh yeah, we'll get it. Oh yeah.
there's rumors that...
Sorry, yeah.
Let's not get into it.
Yeah, we'll
but
not get into it, but
TNA is in a bad spot right now.
yeah.
Anyway, and to be clear, I don't watch TNA anymore because I don't think the product is as good as it was, despite the shining moments they do have.
Yeah.
But I do not wish ill of them because I never want a wrestling promotion to fail.
Yeah.
Because that's just a bunch of wrestlers and crew out of work.
Do you ever wish someone to lose their job?
Yeah,
No.
Like, I don't.
Yeah, it's the
there's
same thing.
There's a lot of people who are like, good, let it fucking die finally. No.
Damn.
Let someone buy it who can do something with it. Let's bring it back to its former Bound for Glory. Right? It's supposed to be the Bound for Glory pay-per-view the day that we're recording this.
Yeah.
And it was as recently as like 3 days ago, it was like up in the air as to if it would happen.
Yeah, that's...
Bound for Glory used to be their WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Anyway, random TNA aside. Tag team title match.
Yep.
Slater and Rhino versus the Usos.
Yep.
So how can this go? There's a couple ways this can go.
Well, the Usos can win.
The Usos can win and further, and then we can
Heel
sort of
persona that we can kind of...
further their heel persona, and we can continue the the Slater storyline.
Yeah.
Which actually,
I'm glad that they did it the way they did. Not try to drag
Really?
out the Slater storyline.
yeah, I don't know about drag it out, but I don't know if it needed to be resolved yet. But it was. Slater and Rhino win.
Yes.
It's a cool match. It's like you said, it's a lot of Slater getting beat up. And
Slater getting beat up, and then Rhino hits a gore.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah.
And so your inaugural, your first time SmackDown Tag Team Champions are Heath Slater and Rhino. And then Slater, Rhino's already under contract.
Yeah.
Slater gets his contract. He's like tweeted pictures of himself with an above ground pool. He's like, Beulah, we're getting the double wide.
that's so great.
It's so good. And the crowd is over. They're so hyped for it.
Yeah, it's great. It was a good choice. I'm glad that they did it right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now leading into No Mercy, there is a match between the Usos and Slater and Rhino again for the tag titles, and I'm assuming that Slater and Rhino are going to lose them.
Probably.
Rhino will go away.
Yeah.
Because Rhino's just kind of part-time-ish.
Is he?
I think. I don't know. I actually don't know, but this is what I'm assuming happens. Usos win at No Mercy. Rhino goes away. Slater does something single-related, and then American Alpha and the Usos fight leading into Survivor Series.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then the main event for the night is, of course, the World Championship match. Dean Ambrose defending against AJ Styles.
Yeah. Like I said before, can AJ Styles have a bad match? It's not possible.
No.
This is another instance of the crowd was solidly behind AJ, and there was actually some boos for Ambrose.
Yeah.
The finish comes when, does
Styles
push Ambrose into the ref?
Styles counters a dirty deeds and bumps the ref.
Yeah.
And while the ref is sort of recovering, Styles kicks Ambrose in the balls.
Yep.
Low blow to Ambrose. And the referee's back up very quickly. Like, the referee was not, like, out. They were just sort of like, oh, good, I'm knocked and can't really pay attention to what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And then the ref back up while Ambrose is recovering from the nut shot.
Yeah.
AJ hits a Styles clash.
Yep. And AJ
Gets the 1, 2, 3. And AJ Styles with a kick to the nuts
that's how a heel's supposed to win.
That's how a heel's supposed to win.
I was totally fine with it. As much as I love AJ, it's just like, that's how he is supposed to win these matches.
AJ Styles is now the first ever wrestler to have held world championships in WWE, TNA, and New Japan.
Yep.
The first ever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
If we could go back in time and crash in on Sidewalk Slam episode 1 and be like, did you know that in September that man's going to be world champion?
Yeah.
I'd be like, Future Adam, you were an asshole and a liar. Get out. You're full of shit.
And you'd be like, well...
yeah, you got me.
Yeah. It's true, but I understand why you say that.
Yeah. No, I never thought... I shouldn't say I never thought this was going to happen. I figured eventually that it would happen. I just didn't think... I think the brand split... Even then, I can't say. AJ Styles has been on a tear and looks like he will continue to be on a tear.
Yeah.
As far as his ring work, which is second to none.
Yeah.
His promo, which again, in our first episode, we were like, oh, he's not really known for his promo skills, not by us anyway. And I didn't really watch any of his TNA stuff, so I was kind of ignorant there. But even that's been top tier. It's like the man is just... he's the best in the world right now, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, he's the champ that runs the camp.
Okay,
that's awkward.
That's not that great.
I don't like. He comes out and he cuts this promo on after winning this title. He's like, I defeated the face that runs the place, and now I am the face that runs the place, and then I am now the champ that runs the camp. And I'll repeat it 3 more times to try and make it sound less lame.
Yeah, still sounds lame.
Still sounds lame.
Yeah. Okay, not everything that he does is gold. Okay. But
the promo was fine. That phrase was super awkward.
The champ that runs the camp.
The champ that runs the camp.
It just sounds dumb. It just reminds me of Camp WWE, which I haven't watched. But
it's okay. So that's Smackdown. The next Smackdown pay-per-view is a month after Backlash, and it is no
It isn't
mercy.
actually 2 weeks from today. What they have planned for that right now is Bray Wyatt, Orton. There was a triple threat between Cena, Ambrose, and AJ Styles.
Yeah.
There's actually an awesome promo, the SmackDown after this one, where Ambrose and Cena kind of just go at each other.
Yeah.
And like Cena calls Ambrose like a failure, basically. And then Ambrose calls Cena like a part-time Hollywood D-lister or something like that. It's pretty awesome.
That begins with Cena talking to AJ and being like, "You have something of mine," and AJ's like, "Oh, do you want the armband back? I don't need it anymore because I have this title now." So
that was pretty great.
Yeah.
Fucking forgot about that. Yeah.
Over on Raw, 2 weeks after Backlash, we have the first Raw only pay-per-view, which is Clash of Champions, where every title will be defended. And when we say every title, we mean every title. Remember, the cruiserweights are now on Raw.
Yeah.
So we get a cruiserweight match
on September 19th of this year, the cruiserweights debuted on Raw. And if you didn't watch the Cruiserweight Classic, it was awesome. It's almost a reason just to get to the network, just to watch it. It was a lot of fun. The winner of that tournament was TJ Perkins, who apparently was in TNA.
Yep.
I didn't know that. And he won the X Division championship. How long ago was he in TNA?
I have no idea. Let me look that up.
All right. I had no idea he was in it, but when I was watching the Cruiserweight Classic, I was like, wow, this TJ Perkins guy is great, because he was doing a head scissors and he dabbed on the guy when he was head scissoring. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's what that's the kind of stuff WWE loves, though, right? Like showmanship more than the actual match itself.
Oh, he was Manic.
Oh, was he?
In TNA. He was when they rebranded Suicide as Manic.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. And Puma on the independent circuit. I didn't know he was Manic.
Huh.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, shit.
Teddy James Perkins.
Was Manic the one that wore the like full bodysuit?
Yeah.
Remember?
This is a complete unrelated thing, but yeah, they made TNA had a video game with, I think THQ produced it, and they made a character just for the video game.
Hacky Man.
That was a full bodysuit. No, it was a character named Suicide.
Oh, I was thinking about the No Mercy, like the N64 games.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
No Mercy and like WrestleMania 2000, there was always Hacky Man, which was Aki was the name of the company that made the games, and he was like a full bodysuit.
It was much more recent.
Okay.
Yeah. And he would like pose at the top of the ramp with like his hand to his head. Like, my name's Suicide.
Yeah.
Skull. It's a cool looking suit. But yeah, so then they were like, that's cool.
Yeah.
We should do that. And so I think it was mostly Kazarian in this. It was a bunch of different people actually portrayed the character of Suicide, because it was a full body suit and you couldn't tell. But Kazarian did it a lot. And then they were like, let's not call him Suicide?
Yeah.
And so they rebranded him as Manic, M-A-N-I-K. And TJ Perkins apparently was playing. So there we go. Anyway.
Maybe that's why I didn't know that he was in you know what I mean? Like
probably.
Yeah.
So at the Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Trampoline.
Brought to you by KFC and Mountain Dew Kickstart.
Yeah.
It's Clash of Champions.
Yay.
On the pre-show, Nia Jax fights Alicia Fox.
Yeah.
After Alicia's like,
Alicia's friend debuted on Raw. I think Alicia was one of those, like, Alicia's friend was one of the random jobbers that like Nia beat up, and then Alicia was like,
how dare you?
Dude, why did you beat her up?
And there was this hilarious promo backstage where Alicia's like freaking out and throwing a bunch of stuff and accidentally just wangs Nia in the face with like a thing of paper towels or something, and is like, like they used it. They didn't reshoot the promo, but she hits her and then is like, oh shit. Like she does this like,
she like
breaks, and then goes, and like recovers, and then Nia like throws her.
So do you think she was just like, she went from being like character to like being a person?
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like, didn't mean to.
I'm sure that's what happened, and for some reason they didn't reshoot it. But anyway,
they think they probably did it live. Don't you think?
Sometimes they do the backstage, even though they look live, they frequently do those backstage things.
I think that one was live.
Pre-tape earlier in the day.
I think it was.
Maybe.
In that case, I think they would have reshot it, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Nia Jax wins.
Nia Jax wins. The match is almost 5 minutes long, so Alicia actually gets some kind of offense.
Yeah, this is the first person, I think, on the main roster. Which is the way it should be, right? Like, jobber should get no offense.
Yeah.
And then when she fights an actual person, it should be at least a little bit back and forth, right?
The first match on the main show is The New Day, now back up to full strength, defending their titles again against the Club, Gallows and Anderson.
I would have put my paycheck on the Club winning the titles. At this,
especially because the New Day starts out by saying that they have a record for holding these titles for 399 days.
Yeah.
So they
beat Kendrick and London.
They beat London and Kendrick's record a while ago.
And then,
then the announcers were talking about a different record.
Demolition. So Demolition, I guess, because they're technically a different title name.
Right.
The World Tag Team titles, which is what they were back in the 80s and stuff, and 90s. Demolition was a tag team.
This is where you get into this weird thing with that deeply matters to a bunch of people, and I can understand why. That's not meant to be throwing shade at people who like really legit care about this, because it does matter for storyline things and for the the weight of a title. Mm-hmm. But there are lineages, The Universal title that they announced on Raw that Finn Balor won at SummerSlam, that was a brand new title that they introduced. It has no lineage. He's the first title holder.
Yeah.
The SmackDown title that AJ has, that's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which has the lineage of the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, but also the big gold belt, the WCW title, because that was unified, which means that you can sort of say that AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose have, as far as the records are concerned, held the same title as DDP or Sting, or Ric Flair, all the way back. And so the branching lineage of that title, because there's been a couple undisputed lineages, right?
Yeah.
That have sort of converged on what is now this title.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one was just recently created, right? Mm-hmm. And so the tag titles. That's because they used to have two tag titles. They had the WWE tag team titles and the World Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
That was the nomenclature.
Yeah.
And one was on Raw and one was on SmackDown. I don't remember which. And then they got unified. Or actually, did they get unified or did they just forget about one of them?
They probably forgot about one of them.
I don't know. So yeah. So the thing is, when they said that the London and Kendrick was the record of those titles, that's because Demolition never held those tag team titles. But they did have the longest tag team titles in WWE, but not with the lineage associated with those belts, even though they're a different belt.
Fuck. It's weird, too, because building up to...
I hope that makes things clear for you.
But even when they were talking about this New Day streak that they've been on, all they ever mentioned was London and Kendrick. They never, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, they beat London and Kendrick." I was like, "Oh no, but wait, there's more." Yes. So they say, "Oh yeah, but the actual record holder at 478 days is Demolition."
Yeah,
who were Axe and Smash, Barry Darsow, and don't know the other guy's name.
Wow,
Barry Darsow was the Repo Man.
Wow.
And
that was a terrible gimmick.
Yeah, I can't remember who else he was.
Now, it was Axe and Smash and later Crush.
Yeah,
it was
Crush. Was Barry Adams.
Yeah.
Who was later on going to WCW, but yeah, Axe, Smash, and Crush. And then now, Smash went away and it was just Axe and Crush, I think. Or
now,
Smash
Demolition, they were in WCW, they were the Road Warriors, weren't they?
No, that's Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom, that was the difference.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're both guys with spiky stuff all over them and shit like that. But yeah. So now the New Day are chasing Demolitions, which I think now they're just going to let them have it.
Pretty much at this point. Yeah. They say that before the match, they say Gallows and Anderson aren't fun like the New Day because they give out raisins on Halloween, wear tube socks with flip-flops, and fart on crowded elevators.
Yeah. There was a leading up to this. There was a segment where Gallows and Anderson bring out the old day.
That match was.
It wasn't the best.
Not
segment.
match. That segment was pretty bad.
I'm huge Gallows and Anderson Anderson fan.
Yeah.
And even I was couldn't really just defend it. I was like, that was kind of
same
poopy.
with the Sunny Boy thing. I actually thought the whole ring post I just think was pretty funny, and I talked about why last time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the old day and the Sunny Boy was all right.
So they bring out the old day, which are just old versions of the New Day.
Yeah.
They're basically their gimmick with this leading into this match was they work at a retirement home and they're going to retire the New Day as tag team champions.
Yeah. But they do not.
They don't.
Because Woods hits Anderson with Francesca 2 while the ref is distracted.
Yeah.
Allowing New Day to retain the titles.
Yeah.
Continuing the face team winning with heel tactics.
Yeah. Which is like...
and no one cares.
Me. Yeah, no one cares.
I don't care.
But God, I just love Gallows and Anderson. I know that the general opinion is that they're being misused, but I'm still enjoying watching them on TV, even if they haven't really won a match in a while. I think they beat the New Day in a non-title match leading up to this event, but as far as I don't know if this feud's going to keep going or not. It doesn't look like it, considering we'll talk about why when we get to the Cesaro-Sheamus match, because it's the fallout from there. I don't know. I really like Anderson Gallows. I hope they're around for a long time. Plus, if you ever have the chance, listen to the podcast that Chris Jericho did with them. They are hilarious. They're actually two legit funny people.
Tom Phillips is backstage with TJ Perkins.
Yep.
Talking about... Because TJ Perkins, we mentioned, because he's defending the Cruiserweight title. I think that belt also looks cool.
Yeah.
On this...
Yeah, it's just so different. It's like use the purple that they used for the Cruiserweight Classic.
It's like purple with silver stuff on it. And so it's him versus Brian Kendrick, who we were just talking about his record with Paul London as the tag champs.
Yeah. Leading into this on the Raw, that September 19th Raw, which was the Raw before this, right?
Yeah.
That was the Go Home Raw?
Yeah, there was the Cruiserweights debuted on Raw.
Yeah.
They changed the ropes out. They make them purple. They basically
shit, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, they noticed the ropes.
They sort of reskin the show, right? Like when the Cruiserweights are on, the Raw logo, the on-screen Raw logo is purple instead of red. All the Titantron stuff is purple. The lights in the crowd are purple, and they retape the ring ropes. So that it is.
Didn't even notice.
This is sort of what we were talking about beforehand, where I was like, how are they going to do it? Are they going to actually have the Cruiserweights be part of the locker room, or is it going to be a delineated and now the Cruiserweight show?
Yeah,
which is how they're doing it.
Yeah,
which is fine.
It's good.
And so I think there was a Fatal 4-Way.
Fatal 4-Way. It was Gran Metalik, who was in the finals with TJ Perkins. Cedric Alexander, who lost to Kota Ibushi in the second round.
Yeah,
but. After that, the match was really good, and after the match, the crowd was chanting, "Please sign Cedric." So, and then Triple H came out after the match and endorsed Cedric a little bit, raised his hand, and then Rich Swann, who was in NXT for a while before the Cruiserweight Classic started. He's a lot of fun. He's a dancer. He's one of those dancey guys. He's got a really catchy theme music too. And the fourth was Brian Kendrick.
Yeah,
and Brian Kendrick won after. Cedric Alexander hit Gran Metalik with the lumbar check, which is just a back suplex, but he kind of launches them in the air, and then they fall down on his knees, their back.
Yeah.
And he hit that.
It looks painful.
It looks painful, but I'm assuming it's not that bad because they're wrestlers and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if we just
it's a good name for it.
Graham, give me the lumbar check. We're oh, you're dead.
No,
but Gran Metalik got hit by the lumbar check, fell out of the ring, and then Brian Kendrick got Alexander into the bully choke, but they're calling it the captain's hook now because WWE is anti-bullying, so they can't call it the bully choke.
Right.
The bully choke is essentially the bank statement.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. Pretty much close. So, yeah. So that's how Kendrick ended up in this match.
So it's Kendrick versus TJP for the title, and Perkins gets his new entrance.
Oh, it's awesome.
What I love about this is that he was saying, someone asked him about it, and he's like, no, I worked on this. He went to CFOs and talked to them about music, and he went to the graphics department and he's like, no, I have a vision for this, and I'm going to talk to the different departments and make sure that this happens, because it's basically Mega Man.
Yeah. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah. His entrance is essentially...
Yeah, it comes up and it's this bit tune kind of music, and then they show a bunch of cruiserweights that are actually on the roster, Alexander and Rich Swann, and then there's a TJ Perkins picture and it selects him, and it's player one select.
Yeah. And HP.
And there's an HP bar, and it's
he
great.
Comes out and dabs, and
Yeah. Match is a lot of fun. Kendrick's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Kendrick.
Still
I love Perkins too, yeah.
I forgot that one of Kendrick's big moves is sliced bread number 2.
Yeah.
What a weird name.
I don't know why did they name it that.
I don't recall the etymology of that.
Comment section.
Yeah.
Give me the sliced bread number 2 explanation. Yeah. TJ Perkins wins with the knee bar. I can't remember what they call it though.
I think they call it the knee bar.
Just the knee bar?
Yeah.
I think there's an actual name, like a TJ.
He fights out of the captain's hook, catches Kendrick with a detonation kick, and then follows up with the knee bar for a
The detonation kick is just like the GTS, like the go to sleep.
Yeah.
He puts them on the shoulders, and then like he just does like a Pele kick instead of the knee.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's the detonation kick.
Nice.
And then into the knee bar. Yeah. And then after the match, TJ Perkins goes to shake Brian Kendrick's hand.
Because at the beginning of the match, he offered him the handshake, and Kendrick wouldn't shake his hand. Yeah. So after the match, Kendrick comes up and shakes his hand.
Yeah. And headbutts him.
Well, they hug.
Yeah.
Even as well. They're like, all right, well fought. All right, cool. And then he headbutts him. Yeah.
Because they really drive home the fact that Kendrick is 37.
Yeah.
Like, he's getting a little bit older. And it's like, this is his last chance at the dance, man. Like, this is it. Like, and even in the Cruiserweight Classic, there was a great line by Kendrick during those like little interviews, and Kendrick was like, "If I'm not wrestling, I'm not living life," you know. And it's like, wow, okay.
I just think it's so crazy for Kendrick to be, former tag team champion, record-setting tag team champion, and then kind of like a failed singles run. To be honest,
I didn't see any of it. So
and he briefly. He held the title. He held the world title for a not recorded amount of time.
Oh, really?
Because it was one of those. It was like a scramble match, and so it was like current world champion Brian Kendrick.
That's awesome,
right? But then because it's
everyone that there's I guess like in those scramble matches they give him a time limit.
Yeah, it's only whoever holds it like at the end of the match that wins. So he was technically and they gave him like a big bodyguard guy or whatever, and then to like leave the WWE and work for other promotions.
Didn't he leave for like under bad circumstances?
I can't remember, but like I think maybe, but then to like start your
the way he talks now makes it sound
school.
like he was really fucking shit.
Yeah, and then to like come back and be like, sure, on this cruiserweight thing that's for the network that not as many people are going to watch, and then suddenly you're challenging for a title on pay-per-view. Yeah. That's crazy.
Good for you. Good. And his gimmick is the Brian Kendrick.
Yes.
The Brian Kendrick, the Wizard of Odd, which I think is great.
It's just this
the post-apocalyptic superstar.
Yep.
The Brian Kendrick. I think it's great. And he comes out with like his little flag and he does these weird dances and stuff. Yeah. He looks like he should be at Burning Man.
Tom Phillips is backstage talking to Cesaro.
Yeah.
Because in the interim, we talked about SummerSlam.
Yes.
And that was
Sheamus,
the
first match, right?
That was 1-0 for Sheamus.
Yeah.
In the intervening time, and they've had the other of the first 6 matches in this best of 7 series. Some of them were at house shows, some of them were on Raw, and it went Sheamus.
Yeah.
Cesaro.
Yes.
So
to the surprise of nobody, as soon as Sheamus went up 3-0, I was like, well, I mean, Cesaro's winning the next 3, right?
Yeah, you got to, right? Because it means that every match there is like if. Cesaro needs to win this to even stay in it, but if Sheamus wins, it's all over, right? And of course, it's the reverse.
I even liked on the build-up, too, that Cesaro, in one of the matches, he cheated to win.
Did he really?
Yeah, he put his foot on the rope, like he was pinning him, and he like used the rope as leverage. Yeah. And I was like, it just adds to the sense of urgency, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, cool. Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I was like, all right, because I hadn't really seen, I had not paid attention really to the matches coming
which
along.
Is fair.
And so it's like, all right, they're 3-3, so sure, let's see where this is going to go. This match
was unbelievable.
This match was amazing.
But you know what? Even the matches building up to it were like almost just as good as this.
Well, that's the thing is Cesaro and Sheamus are really good, but like this match actually made me give a shit.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And man, so okay, notable points. I was going to say high points, but notable points. Cesaro almost kills himself.
Yeah. Like you'll see freeze frames and it's like Sheamus saying they're getting hit, but okay, so here's Sheamus, here's Sheamus, and then Cesaro's hitting him, but Cesaro's head's like already straight down, like he's just already. He
does a diving
Tope suicida, as I like to call it.
Yeah, he does a jump out of the ring and just lands on his head.
Yeah,
and Sheamus even you can see Sheamus like grabbing him to be like. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you dead, dude?
Yeah.
Right? They just beat the heck out of each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Two big dudes that are super athletic and super quick, and they're very strong, so they can just beat the piss out of each other.
And the match ends
Yeah.
very slowly when they go over the barricade.
Yeah.
They I think Sheamus runs
Cesaro clotheslines Sheamus over the barricade.
Over the barricade into
the timekeeper's area. Yeah.
At that corner. Was that guy, there's a guy there that I can't tell if he's just a committed fan or a trainer or something, but there's a guy that they almost clip who looks like he tries to catch one of them.
Yeah.
And is selling.
Really?
Yeah, he's lying on the ground and selling, but the medical staff is ignoring him completely and they never mention him on commentary.
Yeah.
So I can't tell if he's a fan that is just committed to selling and good for him, and they're well, we're not gonna encourage fans to get involved in the thing, or if he's a backstage trainer that the medical staff knows they can just ignore. Because it's weird that the medical staff isn't checking with him at all. Because you can see in the replay from one angle that he starts to reach for Sheamus.
I think
I don't know if he's there to
sounds committed.
help. Yeah, it's very strange.
Okay.
Someone was saying that he's in the wrong kind of chair because when you're at ringside seats, they're like a commemorative chair that you can take home, and he's not in one of those.
Wait,
chairs.
really?
Yeah, you can pay extra and you get a chair that you can take with you. I know someone who has a WrestleMania chair.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you get to take a steel chair. How do you fit on a plane? But
sorry, random aside.
Yeah.
I don't know why you talking about this reminded me. Whatever happened to Titus O'Neil and Darren Young?
So during the Raws, during these intervening Raws, very little.
It just disappeared, right?
Kind of. Make Darren Young be on TV again.
Because I was just remembering. I think I forgot to. I don't know why this reminded me of this, but there was a point where Darren Young and Titus O'Neil were fighting each other, and then he knocks over Bob Backlund, and then gives Darren Young the Clash of the Titus.
Yeah.
And when he hits the Clash of the Titus, Bob Backlund sells it. I can't believe I didn't bring this up when we were talking about it, but I don't know why I remembered it now. But Backlund sells the Clash of the Titus when he's just laying on the ground.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway,
I don't know why.
So they go over. They land on the concrete outside the ring area. Medical staff comes over and checks on them, and they're both just discombobulated.
Yeah.
They're out of their heads. They're not responding to the medical staff. This is all in storyline. They're not responding to the medical staff.
Yeah.
And they're just okay, this match can't continue. And they're both upset about that. And Cesaro's no, let me fight him. I'll take him on. And they're holding him back. And eventually Cesaro gets back into the ring and is standing up on the turnbuckle being get back in here. I'll keep fighting you. Let's end this.
Yeah.
And Sheamus is sort of limping through the crowd to get to backstage.
Yeah.
And
I was pretty upset at the ending.
I liked it.
Really?
Yeah. I want to hear your thing first.
If you're asking us to buy into a 7-match series,
Yeah.
I know, now that where they've gone with it now, I'm kind of still interested.
I actually don't know where they're going with it now,
Okay.
so don't tell me yet.
But at the time, I was just that's the payoff?
Well, I assume that, it's still tied 3-3. There was no contest, right?
Yeah, but do you want me to tell you what happens afterwards?
Sure.
Okay, so on the next night on Raw, or it's one of the weeks, Cesaro and Sheamus are Mick, you told us the most dominant physical wrestler was going to get a championship opportunity. He's oh yeah, I'll give you a championship opportunity, but I'm going to give you both one. Because I can't with good conscience put you in an 8th match because it's not going to have the same sense of urgency as that 7th match had.
Okay.
You're not going to fight as hard.
Right.
Which I kind of understood.
Okay.
So Cesaro and Sheamus are now a tag team.
What?
Yeah.
They've been just turned into a tag team.
Put together. Because they're now we're going to put you two together. And it's Mick was it's always the two people who hate each other the most that have the best chemistry. Huh. And he's referring to him and The Rock.
Right.
Right? Because him and The Rock, he wanted to be The Rock's tag team partner. Well, these two, neither of them want to be, but Mick back in the 90s and early 2000s.
And Rock didn't want him to be a partner.
The Rock did not want to be Mick Foley's tag team partner. They became the Rock and Sock connection. They ended up winning the tag team titles a couple times, I think. But that's where they went with it. When I watched it, I was kind of bummed out because the match was awesome.
Yeah.
But that no contest finish after an awesome match and after a 7-match series was a lot to ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I guess maybe because I only started caring at this match.
Yeah.
That it didn't. Nobody looked bad. Nobody won. Like it was still just like both these guys are so great, and I don't know. I'll
give it there. Like that was an ending I didn't see happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at least it's interesting. It's different because every other 7-match series just ends, right? Like there's a winner and there's a clear loser. But this way it's like, okay, well, we're going to put you together. I guess it does, yeah. But I mean, where they went with it makes a lot more sense, I think. But at the time...
There was a big let them fight chant.
Yeah.
Which was
cool.
Like
at the time when I was watching it, I was like, really? Like, come on. Just give me... I like, after watching a storyline like that develop from SummerSlam to the next pay-per-view, it's like I want resolution.
Yeah,
you know? Like I don't want to read a book and then, the last chapter is just ripped out.
Yeah.
Right? Still, the match was awesome. And I actually became more of a fan of Sheamus after this.
Yeah, me too.
Watching these matches. I was always like, Sheamus was always kind of like, meh, he's okay.
Yeah.
But he's starting to grow on me.
The next match is Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho.
Yeah. The build-up for this was like non-existent, but it did happen because Chris Jericho had Sami Zayn on the highlight reel.
Yeah.
2 weeks before this. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho are best friends, so Chris Jericho has Sami Zayn on the highlight reel.
Basically just to abuse him.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sami Zayn, basically the conversation ends up being like, well, you're just Kevin Owens' bitch.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like,
word for word.
Word for word. And actually, like, Jericho, he's like, oh, yeah, Kevin Owens actually texted me and told me what you were going to say. Just hits him with the phone.
Here, I have this text message. Do you want to see the text message? Wham.
Yeah. Oldest trick in the book.
Yeah. Well, because Sammy's like, he says, I can tell you from experience that, if you think you're friends with Kevin Owens.
Yeah, you're not.
You're not.
Yeah.
Because we were friends for 14 years, and look what happened.
Yeah.
If you think you're friends with him now,
like,
whatever.
Jericho's just like, it's different.
Wham!
Yeah, hits him with the phone, gives him a code breaker. And that was like, okay, we're having a match.
Sammy's definitely going to get it.
Yes.
It. Jericho got the word it over.
He got stupid idiot over. I think that's it. Getting it over. It.
Yeah.
Not stupid idiot, but it. He even does like stupid itty. It. He's just like this genius.
He's like, you are gonna get it.
Even him and Owens do it at the same time too. It's great.
I love. It got passed around as a GIF, but Jericho and Owens were on an episode of Raw in a tag team recently, and Jericho was starting the match and took off his scarf and handed it to Owens, and Owens is like, "Yep, for sure, man, got it." And as soon as Jericho turned around, he just chucked it behind him.
That's a $750 scarf.
No.
Yeah.
So this is Sami Zayn versus Jericho.
Yeah.
For not much lead up apart from, I guess,
and
Jericho feels that Sammy's wronged his new best friend at some point in the past.
Jericho wins.
Jericho wins, which is interesting, but whatever.
I thought, I mean,
this particular mini feud is not very high stakes.
Yeah, there's nothing at stake here.
Yeah, it's a good match.
It's just a win or a loss. Which I don't look at under a microscope, like who wins and loses.
Yeah. Raw Women's Championship match.
Yep.
Triple threat.
Triple threat.
Charlotte defending against Charlotte with Dana Brooke in her corner, defending against Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
And Bayley.
Bayley's here.
Bayley debuted on the roster after SummerSlam.
After SummerSlam, Sasha Banks was gone.
Yeah.
So Charlotte was out and was like, oh, there's no one. Like, I beat everybody. Like, and then she's like, I'm the best. And Mick Foley comes out and is like, nah, we've signed the hottest free agent. Then he introduces Bayley.
Who's finally officially actually on Raw.
Yeah. So then Bayley I think that night has a match with Dana Brooke and beats her. And then the week after, Bayley beats Charlotte in a one-on-one match, non-title. And then
Sasha comes back.
And
is like, okay, Charlotte, let's finish what we started.
Yeah.
And Bayley's like, I
It's funny because that's how she gave her response. She's like, well,
you know, Sasha, I hate to, but I did beat Charlotte one-on-one non-title last week, so that kind of puts me...
She plays that character really well.
She's like, that kind of puts me ahead of you, I think, in the line.
She's trying to be nice.
Yeah. And Sasha's like, no, hang on. Whoa, hang on.
Yeah.
Charlotte and I have unfinished business. And then...
They make a triple threat between Sasha, Bayley, and Dana Brooke.
Yeah, because Charlotte's like, whatever, you know, screw you two, who cares? And Dana starts talking shit. Mm-hmm. And then Mick Foley's like, cool, you three are in a match. And Dana's like, what?
Wait, what?
What? But I... Really? Because they're already starting to have like Charlotte be increasingly more abusive to Dana, like full on just hitting her, pushing her down to the ground.
Yeah, this ramped up after, because spoiler alert, on the triple threat, Sasha and Bayley. Okay, so they played it off like Sasha pinned Bayley, but both of their shoulders, they were in a predicament where
this was not the title match. This is the triple threat.
This is
on
the triple
Raw.
threat. Sorry.
To determine the number one contender for Charlotte's title, it's going to be either Sasha, Bayley, or Dana Brooke.
Yeah. So then, at the end of the match, Sasha and Bayley get into like a pinning predicament where both of their shoulders are down, but when they count it, they're like, "Oh, Sasha wins." And then when did Charlotte slap Dana? Because she hits her, like you said. Like she's getting increasingly physical because Charlotte thinks that Dana has failed her by losing this triple threat.
Because I guess the thought was that she's going to win the triple threat and then just roll over for Charlotte. Yeah.
Finger poke of doom.
Yes.
We're not going to
That would have been kind of funny, actually. But so then it gets brought up that...
So I found this weird, is that Charlotte and Dana brought up, they're like, well, they pinned each other at the same time, so there's no number one contender, Mick.
Yeah, so deal with it.
So deal with it. Haha, we're the smartest. It's like, well, actually...
Well, then you got two number one contenders, idiot.
Yeah, it's like, why would you bring that up? It's like, you dumbass.
I guess it's because to play it off that Charlotte's the heel who doesn't want to fight Sasha again.
I understand why they did it, but it's just like, looking at it from my perspective, like, you idiot, why'd you say something? You could have just fought one person instead of two.
So Mick Foley, on the back of that, decides to make this a triple threat with Sasha and Bayley.
I guess the reason I was bothered by that is like, you'd think Bayley would be bringing it up. Not Charlotte and Dana.
Maybe.
But I guess Bayley, from what she showed us of her character, like, but she'd be like, but okay, all right,
next time, you know. But no, I kind of like Charlotte doing it, trying to get out of fighting Dana, being like, no, look, see, Dana can't be. It was no contest, so ha, without thinking through that. Of course, Mick is just going to go, oh, well, then fight both of them.
Yeah,
you fool.
Yeah, so that's how we got to this triple threat. I think they had a tag team match in the Go Home Raw.
Yeah, and don't forget, of course, that Bayley and Sasha have probably the most history of any of the women's division. Yeah.
When they build up to that feud, and if they let them do it, like they should, with Sasha heel, Bayley face, that could, if they do it right, could main event one of their pay-per-views.
Yeah, because there was two matches specifically. There was Sasha Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Which got match of the year from a lot of people.
Yeah, and then Sasha Bayley Iron Man match at Dallas, and one of the other NXT takeovers, and both of those matches.
It was a 30-minute Iron Woman match. Yeah,
were just
which Bayley won both.
Yeah, and it was just
awesome.
So awesome.
Good. That Brooklyn match especially is unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's where I was talking about before, where Sasha doesn't. You don't have to kill yourself to put on a good match, right? You don't have to take these risks. You can play like psychology and stuff like that. So if you haven't watched it, you definitely need to go check that match out. But I'm assuming everybody that has the network is like they're the kind of fan that's going to watch stuff like all the takeovers and stuff like that. So
this match has a lot of Bayley and Sasha
being like
they have the most interesting interactions in this match because they have that history, and the announcers make sure that we know that they have that history, and they both want to beat Charlotte, and so they're like kind of trying to work together, but also they can't really let themselves work together.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting.
Yeah, I liked it. Charlotte is still really good.
Yeah.
Like, she's just awesome.
Really good.
I can't get over how good of a heel she is. Like, she's incredible.
Can I say the only thing that I consistently don't like about this whole feud is anytime Sasha puts two people on the ropes in the corner and does the knee.
Oh,
drop.
the knee? Yeah, because it doesn't hurt the bottom person like at all.
It also just looks super awkward and stupid. Like, we gave Del Rio all kinds of shit for his dumb corner maneuver where they have to hold themselves there.
Yeah.
And this is the same problem where they're just like, oh, I guess I'll just lie here.
Yeah. Oh, here she comes.
It's not even the lying there. It's the like, oh, I'm just going to awkwardly slide myself into position.
Yeah.
Wrestlers slide themselves into the correct position to take moves all the time. But for some reason, this always looks really dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, any of that, that situation where you have to where you have to keep your opponent perpendicular.
Yeah.
You know, in like awkward situations.
The end of the match comes when Charlotte hits Bayley with a big boot into Sasha.
Yeah.
Knocks Bayley into Sasha.
She knocks Bayley into Sasha, and then Bayley comes back.
Yeah.
And Charlotte hits her with a big boot.
Yeah.
Which was different. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like just give her another move that could be a finisher.
And then pins
for 1,
Bayley
2, 3.
to retain the championship.
Yeah.
The U.S. title match is Rusev defending against Roman Reigns again.
Yeah. We're back.
So what happened in the interim with this?
Roman Reigns was actually wrestling different people. Okay, so we didn't talk about it, but okay, so the Raw after SummerSlam, Finn Balor had to vacate the title. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, well, we're going to have a 4-way match for the Universal title. People that ended up being in this fatal 4-way were Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Big Cass.
Yep.
Which felt really weird, but I was fine with it for the most part.
Yeah.
So, like, leading up to this, Roman Reigns wasn't really fighting with Rusev that much because at that fatal 4-way, Triple H came down. And first Big Cass got eliminated. And then Triple H came down and gave a pedigree to Roman Reigns.
On the outside.
On the outside. And he was like, Seth, pin him. So Seth pins Roman Reigns. And everyone's like, oh, okay, well, Triple H is just helping
Seth out, because like he is wont to do.
Yeah.
Remembering that Seth was basically his protege after turning on the Shield, and that's why Seth uses the pedigree as his finisher. And we haven't seen Triple H since WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen we had Triple H since he lost to Roman at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So then Triple H gets in the ring, but then gives Seth Rollins a pedigree, which I did not see coming when I was watching this match.
Yep.
And Kevin Owens pins, he looks dumbfounded when it happens. It's awesome. And Kevin Owens pins Seth Rollins.
And Triple H raises Kevin Owens' hands.
Yeah, and hands him the title. And the thing I loved the most about this was Stephanie and Mick looking just dumbfounded. And the look that Hunter gave Stephanie was the most intriguing.
Yeah.
Like, didn't say anything to her.
Yeah.
They didn't hug, they didn't do anything. They didn't touch each other, just Hunter mean mugged her, basically, and then left.
Yeah. And
that was it. And that was like, holy shit, like, I want to watch next week now.
Because in the weeks between there and Clash of Champions,
nothing.
He hasn't been around,
Yeah.
and Seth has been like, your husband, what the hell? And Steph's like, I had no idea. Mm-hmm. I was not remotely party to these decisions.
Yeah.
I didn't have a clue what he was going to do.
Yeah.
You think he might have asked him that in some of the, he is your husband, you presumably live together. Maybe ask him when you get home tonight, and then tell me on next week's show.
Yeah.
But
like a long explanation. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, long explanation though to get to this Roman Reigns Rusev fight is because Roman was essentially he fought, and then the next week after that he fought Kevin Owens and if he won the match against Kevin Owens, he was put into the world title match at Clash of Champions as a triple threat because he was screwed out by Hunter. Because Triple H essentially eliminated Roman, so they gave Roman another chance. And in that match with Kevin Owens, Rusev cost Roman the match.
Yeah.
And then the next week on Raw, Kevin Owens fought Roman again in a steel cage, and Roman won that match. But then afterwards, Rusev came down, and him and Kevin Owens were beating up Rusev in the cage, and then Seth Rollins came down to make the save.
Yeah, and that match did not have the same triple threat stipulation.
Yeah,
that was just a blow off.
That was just another cage match for whatever reason. Like, I don't know why.
For Mick Foley to have them fight each other
one more time
without people interfering.
Yeah,
and there was some reaction about why.
Yeah.
Why on any level is Seth Rollins coming down to save
But I mean,
Roman
like,
Reigns.
for me, that was like, that's how bad he wants to get at Kevin Owens.
Well, that's the thing is he's not saving Roman Reigns. He did it
Fighting
to
Kevin Owens.
fight Kevin Owens.
Yeah. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Yeah. So the match at Clash of Champions
Yes.
is
Reigns.
Rusev versus Roman Reigns again.
So that's how we got to this match. Just saying that the build up for this was just two interactions and like the backstage segments of them making the match. Like, oh, you're fighting Roman Reigns. Yep, two big dudes beating the poo out of each other. That's basically what this was.
Can we stop chanting for CM Punk?
Can we please?
Please.
Because they did it.
I thought I enjoyed him a lot. I thought he was sweet. I'm bummed at how it ended.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can we stop?
But it's just you look stupid.
Yeah. You look stupid.
Never stop chanting that to Sheamus though. Well, he stopped doing the braids, so that's good.
true.
He stopped doing the beard braids.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry. That just.
But CM Punk, yeah. I mean, I think we bring this up every episode.
It's been years.
Either one of us gets heated about
Someone
CM
chanting
Punk
something
being
stupid.
CM Punk chants. Like,
Yeah,
fucking
anyway.
God damn it. Roman looked less impressive in this match, I felt, than like in his recent outings against someone like an AJ Styles or Seth Rollins or Kevin Owens. I don't know if that's just the chemistry between Rusev and Roman isn't there.
I think they've had better matches.
Yeah. Roman Reigns wins this match.
Yeah.
Dethrones Rusev as the U.S. champion.
He's been champ since when?
WrestleMania?
Did he win it at Mania? That's been a while.
And when did he beat Kalisto for it? Wasn't it Kalisto that he beat
Oh
for
no,
it?
that can't have been at Mania because then, well, maybe.
Fuck, who did Rusev fight at WrestleMania?
Well, were they the League of Nations at WrestleMania?
They fought
Oh, they fought the New Day.
New Day, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was after that.
He wasn't champ yet.
No.
No.
It was after that sometime. Fuck, wrestling, am I right? Like we just can't even remember. It's just like there's so much like
Yeah,
I can't remember when he beat Kalisto. Money in the Bank?
probably. Because it was Kalisto. You're right.
Yeah, because he did the super accolade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Roman Reigns is the US champ.
Why?
Sure. Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because he can't be a world champ right now because the fans have revolt.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm fine with it. Like, sure, let him hang out. Let him do that for a while and let him be more than just the big dog,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah. There's a brief backstage bit with Rollins and Steph
Yeah.
before the next match with Steph being like, hey, good luck. And he's like, whatever, save it. Everything you say is a lie. I don't believe that you and your husband weren't involved. And he's going to find out that he backed the wrong horse.
Yeah.
Because Seth is basically face now.
Yeah. Seth is a face.
Yeah.
He doesn't really like. He's not insulting crowds anymore. Like
Yeah.
he's still essentially the same character. He's just changed the way that he
does
addresses.
in the lead up to this, he pisses Steph off to the point that she's like, "Look, I had no idea and I wasn't involved, but now after all this stuff that you were saying to me, I wish I had been."
Yeah, that was an
'Cause I
awesome
agree with
segment. Yeah. It's like maybe he was just tired of cleaning up your messes. That's what he was just maybe he just crossed that. That was it. He's had enough of you failing all the time.
Yeah,
You know?
Seth.
So this is the World Championship match, right? The Universal.
Yeah, this is the main event.
This is
the
it, Universal
Championship match. I love that Jericho refers to him as this. Kevin Owens, the longest reigning
Yeah, this is awesome.
Universal
They're fucking
Champion.
awesome. How about when he calls them, "We are the universe. We're the best Universal Champion that's ever been." Like he'll say, "We."
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so
I think
good.
it was like days later, maybe even a day after Kevin Owens won it, that people were like, "Kevin Owens, longest reigning," because Finn Balor only held it for a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this?
It was almost as good as my as the "We're the Champion" as when Team Hell No. When
Yeah, we are
Daniel
the tag
Bryan,
team champions.
when Danny Bryan was like, "I am the tag team champions,"
Yeah.
and Kane's just like, "All right."
Yeah, I mean that's how I view this Cesaro Sheamus team up. It's like a lot of people were like, "Oh, this Daniel Bryan Kane thing's dumb," and it ended up being like the best thing ever.
It was really good,
It was
yeah.
really good. So you never know, man. Maybe just with wrestling, it's really shown me that you need to let things play out.
Yeah.
I don't say like. I mean, it's always moving on, right? So it's easy. It sounds like a cop-out, you know? Because it's like, it doesn't mean that I can't look at something and be like, oh, I didn't really like that. Oh, well, I'll just see how it plays out. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just use that as an excuse to fall back on.
Yeah. So, Kevin Owens, Universal Tag Team? Kevin Owens, WWE Universal Champion.
Yes.
Defending against Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Match was good. The crowd was not into this match.
Yeah.
They were dead. There's a guy playing on his phone in the front, like the front row. I was just like, really?
Wow.
Yeah, like he was just sitting there, like not even looking at the match.
You don't think Owens and Rollins is going to at least be entertaining to watch?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe he was. I don't know what he's doing, but that's my one image that I pulled from this. It was like I was watching this match and there's a guy in the front row like leaning up against the barricade, like head down, just
Wow.
I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
Match was fine. Liked it. Jericho comes down midway through the match. Tries to interfere, doesn't really work out for him, and I thought, oh fuck, Jericho's gonna cost him the title.
Right.
And that's gonna be it, right? And then those two will go into a program, but it seems weird because I don't think they want either of them to go face, you know what I mean? So thank God Jericho interfered some, put Kevin Owens' foot on the ropes at one point.
Yeah.
And then there's a ref bump when, Kevin Owens goes to pop-up powerbomb Seth, and Seth just goes over top and hits the ref.
Yeah.
Ref goes out, they fight for a while, Seth hits the pedigree.
Yeah.
And he covers Owens, and the crowd does like a 20 count.
The crowd goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they just keep counting for how long Owens has been down that Rollins hasn't been able to get the pin.
And then Stephanie comes out and brings out another referee.
Yeah.
But she does it in a way that it's when Seth is distracted, like after this 20, like way after the 20, the crowd does the 20 count.
Yeah.
Then Steph comes out with an extra referee, and Seth turns around into a pop-up powerbomb, and he gets pinned. Perfect way for a heel to win this match. I was totally fine with the ending.
Yeah.
I would love to see Kevin Owens hold on to that title.
Rollins tells him to suck it at one point, which I liked, the Triple H.
Oh yeah.
And doesn't Owens put him through a table, one of the announce tables or something?
Yeah, I think Owens does it first.
Does
the suck it thing first?
The crotch chop?
Yeah. Before he tries the senton onto the announce table.
Right.
There's that like senton thing.
Yeah.
But Rollins moves.
Yeah. So Owens retains.
Yeah.
And Stephanie looks kind of
It looks shady. Yeah, it looks like that's the way she planned. She waited until Rollins had gotten up, like made sure that Owens had enough time to rest.
And I am totally prepared to believe that she didn't have any involvement in what happened in the Fatal 4-Way with Triple H and Kevin Owens. I'm prepared to believe that she totally didn't have any involvement in that, and like she said, is now just so annoyed at Rollins that she's like, all right, fine.
Okay, well, after Clash of Champions ended, there was a video on WWE.com, and it was Stephanie getting picked up by Triple H. And so they see like a limo, and then Triple H walks out, and then he's like, how'd it go? And she's like, great. And then they get into the cab together, which is like they use as a thread going forward because Rollins saw it happen. Yeah, so we don't know. It seems weird though because when Triple H interfered in that match, the look he gave Stephanie, they didn't talk.
Yeah.
I mean, assuming obviously.
So now is it Rollins versus the Authority again?
I guess so.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
I think with Mick Foley there, it's not going to happen.
What's the next pay-per-view for Raw?
Hell in a Cell.
Oh, right.
End of this month. October 30th or whatever. But in the couple weeks after, since Clash of Champions.
Which, by the way, goes dark with Jericho and Owens, with Jericho singing, "We Are the Champions."
Oh, yeah. Fuck, they're the best. I'll touch like a little bit on what happened in the weeks to come. I mean, we'll cover it again next episode.
Yeah.
But Mick Foley tries to call out Stephanie on getting into the limousine with Triple H.
Ooh.
And she's like, well, what were you doing? You're the general manager of Raw. You should be watching. Because she's like, why did you wait so long to go out there with a referee is basically what he said.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what were you doing? He's like, I was checking on Cesaro. Why weren't you watching the match? Isn't that your job? Are you not doing your job? Do I have to find someone else to do your job? Do I have to make you an ambassador? It was an awesome segment. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they've
Glad we're not focusing on the Authority figures so much.
I know. But
to be fair, a lot of people are like, what? I thought they said they weren't doing this. To be fair, SmackDown said they weren't going to do that.
Yeah,
Raw made no such promises.
Raw was like, nope, we're still going to do the same old.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest knock on Raw, and we brought it up a million times, is the length. Like, SmackDown has a shorter time limit to work with, which makes shows more digestible.
Gives them more focus.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you write. Like, is it easier to write a 30-minute sketch or a 5-minute sketch? You know what I mean? So it's just like, is it easier to write a 3-hour show or a 2-hour show?
Yeah. And the writing staff you know, I think SmackDown's better written right now.
Yeah, I think the head writer for SmackDown was actually the head writer for NXT.
I heard that.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. But I don't know, man. We don't know. We're not back there. All I know is that SmackDown is better right now. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
It's like SmackDown is more enjoyable to watch, and I don't know if it's just because of the time, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's just because SmackDown is doing a lot more with what they have.
I agree. That felt good.
We did it.
That was like long, but it felt good.
long.
Yeah.
Felt long, but we're officially caught up.
Yeah. So let us know what you thought of
I'm actually
doing it that
interested
way.
to see what people think.
Because we can't. By the way, shout out to Little Karibo, who is now doing Mark Remark weekly.
Damn.
Covering Raw and SmackDown. That's a very different. He's got a very different take on the stuff than we do. But I love the show.
I actually haven't watched it. I should probably watch it.
You can easily watch both shows and get very different things out of it. So you should definitely watch that. But it's not feasible for us to do the show weekly. Yeah. So let us know what you thought of
like
this
if this
format.
was the only thing we did.
Oh, the only thing, sure, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
But I've got we both have other stuff.
Like you have Loading Ready Run full time. I have a full time job.
Yeah.
So it's just like we do what we can.
Yeah. And one of the things that we can do is bees on Twitter. Check out my sweet segue there. Adam is at Wake Up Super. And I'm at Graham_LRR.
That's the best segue I've ever
This
heard.
is brought to you by you.
You know what else we can do?
And your kind support of our Patreon.
Bees on Twitter.
Patreon.com/loadingreadyrun.
We did it.
Thank you so much for your support.
Bye. Oh, sorry. Also, Loading Ready Run streams on Twitch.
Hey, there you go.
Like every day of the week, man,
Yeah.
at different times. Loading Ready Run, twitch.tv/Loading Ready Run.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.